Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
Patriots Unfiltered.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. Quick open today. It is
I
Thursday.
had my kid's graduation this morning. Things got messed up with on my end.
Graduation from where?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten. They have graduations for kindergarten?
They do. It's a big
He
thing.
made it.
Cap and gown, the whole thing?
Well, not the gown, but the caps, 5 songs,
Really?
speeches. Yep.
5 songs. Now, now
Was there a
what the array?
valedictorian?
No valedictorian.
Mike is leaning more into his music. So what was the selections? 5 songs.
They sung Colors. They sung a thank you song. They did one from Taylor as like a fun thing for the parents. And I don't remember the other two.
So did your son graduate magna cum crayons? That's great.
It's a Marine sun right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Congratulations, Luke. That's a big accomplishment.
Maybe
You'll remember
next
it
year,
forever.
Mike, when they graduate from first grade, they can have you into choreograph.
First grade grad, Paul, that's ridiculous.
Oh,
Alex,
Fourth
maybe you
grade.
can help me. What's the graduation song when we were like?
Isn't
that one.
it the graduation song?
Yeah, is that? Yeah, that one.
Vitamin
Is it-
C.
Vitamin
Yeah,
C.
was that playing?
Don't
We
ask
had
me
that
to sing.
one.
Don't ask
In
me
the
to
car
sing.
ride it was.
And the yeah, it's been just such a crazy.
You know, it's funny because I guess, Paul, you were talking about you had graduation party season last week.
I'm well into it.
And so it started making me think, like, did I go to any graduation parties after high school? And I guess I did, but of course they weren't my own.
I didn't have
and
one.
then in college, I didn't even go to my own graduation.
No.
Like I
didn't
didn't
either.
attend my graduation.
Were you like Donna Martin or something?
No, I mean, I lived off campus. I really didn't feel like part of that. Like,
I feel you on that
just
one.
give me my diploma. I'm good.
Same. I went to
Yeah.
the small one for my school, and then right after I got my diploma, I walked outside and texted my family, "Come outside, like we can beat traffic and get a good
Yeah, let's
photo
get outta
spot."
here.
But the big giant like commencement, me and my roommate skipped, and
Yeah.
I think we watched Bob's Burgers on our couch all day.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So
I guess
you
did I
didn't-
miss out on something?
But you didn't go to graduation parties in high school?
No, I said I guess I did. I didn't have one.
I didn't have one
None of
either.
my
Me either.
close friends had one, but I think we crashed a couple of other people in our class.
I was having like a major home renovation my parents were doing when
Yeah.
I graduated, so we had a big college one. But I went to everybody's graduation party in high school.
Yeah.
That was great.
We had a ton
It's
of
like
them.
it's like free reign to drink. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
That's what I
yeah.
was going to say. It's all about the underage drinking. The stress of the parents and the people hosting the party and the
Which-
desire of the kids to find places to
Like
drink.
stress is a great word. Like I'm going out of my mind right now. Like I don't want any of that going on at my house. And
Some
I'm
kids
just so
sneaking shots in the back.
I'm just so
and then-
deathly afraid of something bad happening, and you're taking keys from people, but someone leaves that you don't know. Like it's just it really is stressful. And then some parents, it's like there's nothing. Like TJ refers to those as the Amish parties.
Amish.
And then others, it's like people just walking around open.
yeah.
I'm like, that's not happening. I told TJ, it's like that's not happening here.
Yeah.
We had a.
So let everybody know.
Yeah.
I had a dual one with my sister because she graduated college the same year I graduated high school. So we did it together, and she was 22, so she had, was old enough to drink and everything. So my parents did the keys thing. They just said, the 10 of you're all staying here, or your parents are coming to pick you up, and they're going to come and talk to us and say, I'm taking him with me, and the whole thing. But we had a huge one.
I
All
made the
my friends
mistake of
had
letting my kid have a prom party.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
man.
remember laying in bed
Oh,
at 3 in the
man.
morning going, please let it in, please let it in, please let it in, please let it in.
Oh no.
I loved
Hope you clean
graduation
the
party
sheets.
season. It was fun.
Yeah, well, you had a bunch of drunk college girls at your party, so that must have been,
Maybe.
Yeah.
must have been nice.
There you go.
All right. Well, we
Maybe.
do have an announcement. The Tom Brady statue. I know we've had a lot of emails and calls. When's it going to happen? It is going to happen, and it's going to be on August 8th,
Oh.
prior to the Patriots and Commanders preseason game.
Okay.
So I'm assuming Tom will be there for that game, and they're going to unveil the statue. And there's a hype video on Patriots.com as we speak for the statue.
All right.
Cool.
So there we go.
There you go. Well,
I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Oh,
8-8.
today is 12/12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 6/12, I should say. So we're at the year anniversary.
Hence the announcement.
There we go. I got it. Sorry, I was occupied with that concert last night. I got a
That's
little.
true. How was
Yeah.
it?
It was great.
Newfound Playboy Cardi fan?
No, my son sure is. They know all the words and everything, but great concerts here though. I think they do a great job putting on the shows and.
What's the next step in female fashion? Just naked?
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of girls taking
I felt
selfies. And
if I looked in the wrong direction, I would have been arrested last
I
night.
know, no, I was
Okay,
sitting with-
Grandpa.
I was sitting with my wife, so I was
Blinders.
blinders on, but it's all. I mean, just the amount of time spent taking selfies up in the stands of like. My wife's like, they took like 50 pictures. Like, what is going? And like they're just getting everything.
Big pet peeve
set
for Freddie.
Gotta get the
Freddie's
angles.
so anti-selfie.
Well, I guess it's something like that, but I'm anti-selfie when you go on vacation and you take selfies.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? Take pictures of what you're seeing.
Yes, so many great photos
Right.
are ruined by someone standing in them.
By
Right.
your inclusion.
Right.
But it's like as soon
Literally.
as the show starts too, it's just the whole audience.
And the other thing,
Phones up,
like you go to a game, a sporting event, and you're just holding your phone videotaping. It's
When are
like,
you gonna watch
do you need to
this?
prove to somebody that you were there? Like,
Yeah,
why
I
are
know.
you doing that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or you're gonna sit back down. And, I'm gonna rewatch that concert I didn't pay attention to.
Right.
10
I
years
love
ago.
going to the beach and it's like families everywhere, and then some girl is just like recreating her own Sports Illustrated photo shoot for like her 1,000 Instagram followers.
Yeah. What beach are you at? Just asking for a friend.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them now.
Not the ones I go to.
No.
Sandy
You go to
Neck
the-
isn't exactly.
Yeah.
You go to the
Oh.
nude beaches.
No.
I saw it at Mayflower
Whitey.
Beach.
Mayflower's.
Families
heck?
everywhere.
Yeah, Mayflower's younger. Yeah,
Yeah.
much younger. Yeah. They actually had some brawls there a couple years ago.
Oh, I remember.
They had to like do something with the parking. Like it's really restrictive now.
Yeah.
And then on the beach, like kids were getting into fights and stuff.
These young kids
Yeah.
come and trash the beaches,
Well,
get drunk and
It's not like
fight.
the days, Fred, when you were patrolling the beaches as like the alpha dog of Cape Cod.
That's
and making
right.
sure keeping
I was,
everybody
I
in
was the
line.
mayor of Corporation Beach in Dennis. But you go out there and you start doing your day drinking, and you
Yeah.
haven't eaten
Oh,
yet,
yeah.
and you get drunker faster
Yep.
when you day
A
drink.
darty, if you will.
Darty,
Oh,
what's
nice.
A day party.
Yeah.
that? Day part or darty?
Good,
Yeah.
good job, Paul.
Yeah.
Paul's with it.
Yeah, right.
Up with the youth.
Pulling a darty out.
Thanks, boys.
So, all right. So, a little note that didn't get announced or anything, but it's just an observation. Marty Mapu now being listed officially as a linebacker, and we talked in the past about are we worried about linebacker depth? I'm not sure that this is the answer to that, but just interesting. I thought that they're saying, okay, Marty, you're a linebacker now.
Yeah.
Like, thoughts?
Well, I'd start with I think he's a little banged up again, which is disappointing. I don't think he's been a full participant, and that has been the thing that's hurt him the most, other than the position flexibility. I think it's a move that makes sense given the scheme change. So he's gonna have to get healthy, and he's gonna have to somehow start to string days together, because it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Even if he plays well in that position, is this really a guy we can count on? He needs to prove that he can stay healthy. Hopefully, he can do that in camp. We remember last year, I think it was like same thing. It was like 2 practices in, maybe the first day, I think pads maybe, and that was it. He got dinged up, and then he was dealing with that until he jumped in September and like played the whole game. So it makes sense for him size-wise to play in the scheme. I still am not sure if he's really a true fit as like a Spillane or Jack Gibbons, those guys that are a little smaller and can run. We'll see how he fits in. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about the injuries. That's the number one thing that's held him back. We don't even really have a large sample of him playing in games because of all the different injuries that he's had. But I've been wanting him to play linebacker since the day they drafted him. I mean, this is...
So when you call Marty Mapu a linebacker, is it, I know that it's more, linebackers become so vague now, but is it an inside backer? Is it an outside backer?
Yeah, off the ball, inside backer, second level of the defense kind of guy. I mean, this is what he did at Sacramento State.
And does he have the size for that?
For a modern linebacker, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 220, 225, 6'3". Yeah, and, this is what he did in college. He was a sideline to sideline linebacker, coverage linebacker at Sacramento State, just making plays all over the field at that level, and they tried to make him into the safety, and there was a lot of overlap between the hybrid safety and linebacker in the old scheme. It wasn't totally a departure from what he was doing, but I think when you look at the way that they want to play in this scheme, there's a lot of coverage things that they could maybe do with him where he's a little bit more athletic and a little bit more versatile in some of those high stress coverage situations. So whether he's dropping in a deeper zone, or he's picking up a crossing route, or he's playing man to man on a running back or something like that, that you would really trust him to do a little bit more at that spot potentially than like a true linebacker body type, like a Jelani Tavai, or something like that. So that's the way I see it. Maybe third down, situational packages with him playing as a coverage linebacker is a place to start. I mean, Deuce is right. Like if he doesn't get healthy and he doesn't get on the program, then as like Paul likes to say, then it's not going to matter what position he plays. But this is where he should have been from day one, was this spot, but it didn't fit the old scheme for him to be there from day one. So now we're here now.
I think he's a smart player. That was evident what all the coaches said last year when he was hurt and then just jumped in and literally, I think, played every single snap. I think there's opportunity still at that position. I mean, long term, if he was able to somehow pull it all together and become a backup linebacker, maybe carve out a little bit of a role. I mean, Jack Gibbons is here on a 1-year deal. Spillane is older than 30, so I mean there is long-term need at that position, and if he is able to do it, maybe it's covering tight ends, something as simple as that with his size might make a little bit more sense than some of their slots.
I totally agree with Evan. I've thought of him as could be unique in his ability to play linebacker, and if it's just safety, then it's kind of just one of many. So that whole sideline to sideline athletic profile, smaller, quicker. I mean, he can run.
Yeah.
I mean, he absolutely has that kind of mobility. We'll see if Fred, if you're right, maybe he doesn't have enough bulk, but I think it's worth a roll of the dice to see if he could be a full-time linebacker.
The size and the block anticipation and like reading blocks against the run, I'm not sure if that element will be there, but if he's playing on third down in long situations as like a coverage linebacker, I think that he could carve out a role like that, and they could use a player like that to maybe take a Spillane or a Christian Ellis off the field on third down and bring in a more athletic body type. It isn't the worst idea in the world, but I'm glad we're finally here. It took long enough.
I just wonder how it's all going to come together at the linebacker position between Tavai, who's hurt. We'll see him hopefully at camp, but his body type versus Anthony Jennings, who has been a really solid edge player. Not sure exactly how he fits. How does Marty Mapu fit into the equation?
Yeah.
Other than after Spillane, I think there's a lot of question marks about the linebacker position that will have to be answered in camp.
Okay. The other editor's note that I was bitching about it before the show. Keon White had his comments about, I feel like I have real coaching this year, and who he was referring to probably as position coaches. But once he said that, a lot of people online just took the liberty to take it as Gerard Mayo and just start bashing Gerard Mayo. Lay off Gerard Mayo. I mean, yes, last year was a disaster. We get it. He wasn't ready. He wasn't put in the best position to succeed, for sure. Can we just lay off Gerard Mayo? I mean, there's no need at this point to be going after him. So to all the bloggers out there and tweeters and IGers and all that, just leave Gerard Mayo alone.
It's hard because last season was pretty bad, but like you said, I think there were a lot of factors at work, and I hate how every time you talk about something now, it has to be viewed as a comparison to what it was, and not necessarily. Thank you for that, because that thing is bugging the crap out. But I wish you could talk about Vrabel and this season and what's going on. I can talk about Vrabel hopping into different drills, without it instantly being like, well, did Gerard hop into drills?
Right.
Why does everything have to be a reflection on them? And I mean, some of it is, but not all of it is. And
I mean, it's okay to say things are better, but I mean, yesterday was just like this open season on.
Well, to be fair, I mean, Keon White said it.
No, I know,
So,
and I know that spurred it.
Yeah.
But he didn't necessarily mention him by name.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, he could have been talking about the position coaches
and
just
plus-
the overall thing. And I get it. It was a disaster.
But to your point, Fred, you could say that and say how much better it is now.
Right.
You could accentuate what Vrabel and his staff are offering that maybe wasn't here last year without it going back to like, you see how bad they were last year?
Right.
Like the reactions, not Keon White. Keon White said the coaching's better.
Right.
So it didn't have to necessarily devolve into and I know what your point is. Like, they had a coaching staff that was here for 1 year. They were ineffective, and didn't get a second year. I think it speaks for itself.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't do a great job. We don't have to kill them and relitigate the
It's
whole
like
thing.
kicking a dead horse.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's not here anymore, so what's
Yeah.
the point in getting too worked up
Right.
about it? And it's also, Keon was pretty disgruntled at the end of last year too.
Yep.
You know, like this is not really a surprise that he wasn't thrilled.
Right.
But I think he needs to be aware of this puts a little bit more of a spotlight on him.
Yeah.
This is a key season for Keon White. And if he is getting real coaching now, then it
Listen,
needs to translate.
I hope, because he started the season out pretty well. That Cincinnati game, the whole team did, and he kind of faded. And I'm hoping it was coaching. I'm hoping there's a reason for that, and that he comes in this year and lives up to his potential.
He might be my biggest X factor on the defense this season. He's
Agreed.
the youngest of the defensive ends right now that are getting significant playing time. Evan and I have both talked about biggest concern with the defense is speed off the edge, getting that consistent edge
Yeah.
pressure. It's been a challenge for Keon White to really break that down. I mean, he's good on the inside and tight spaces, and he's a nightmare for guards and centers, no problem, no question about that. But at some point, they're going to need to develop an edge rusher. I mean, Harold Landry, Chason, they're both older guys. And I mean, there's not maybe
But
those guys will have a rebirth,
but-
but I think next offseason
Yeah.
we're talking about we need
Yeah, but if you're
a
expecting
grade A pass
if you're
rusher for this
expecting
team.
Keon White to be in the mold of a Max Crosby or a Watt, he's not that player. Never was. Wasn't in college. That's not who he is.
Fair.
But he is a disruptor.
He needs to be a compliment to Milton
Yeah.
Williams and Christian Barmore.
Yeah.
Like they need a third guy because those two guys are going to get a lot of attention on the inside. We're going to get double teams. They're going to get
Right.
high level matchups and things like that on the inside. And Keon White's going to have one-on-ones for 17
And
straight
he's
weeks.
strong. He, I look at the three of them. Williams and Barmore and White. Those are three guys
Yeah.
that they'll win the fights.
I think it was
They'll win the fights.
Harold Landry in his pressers on Mondays. The guys speak really highly of Keon, and I think Harold specifically said like he's just a specimen.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can be good role models for him and just keep building him up. And I think you're right, Fred. Like just with Milton Williams and Barmore, and then him, he's just gonna eat as a factor of those guys taking on double teams. And
Yep.
I hope it's fun to watch.
That's everything.
I want to be that team where we come into an opponent and they look at our defensive line and like they're a problem. That's a
Well,
problem.
they're going to circle Barmore and Williams, and if he can be that third guy, they can't stop them all, right? You
Right.
can't
Right.
double team everybody. So someone's going to have to emerge, as that cleanup guy and as a third disruptor. And if it's him, then he's my biggest X factor too, Deuce. Like if
Yeah.
he takes that next step, and I want to credit, Mike Smith is his position coach now, Patriots outside linebackers coach, who he seems to really be getting along with and has a good working relationship with. Obviously, the comments that he made the other day, what got attention was that. But Mike Smith, is the guy that he was giving credit to at the same time, and he said that he has a plan now. He knows, and the pass rush plan of, if this guy does this, I'm going to do that, and how to attack tackles, and how to, his counters, and like all that kind of stuff, and that's really what he was missing. Like he's a specimen. Like there's no doubt that he can, play from a physical standpoint, but it's the thinking part of the game that I think was tough for him. And if they can get him to that point, then maybe there is another level.
Well,
for
remember
him.
in the aughts when we played Tennessee, their defensive front, they had I forget Javon Curse or I forget who the people were, but
Curse was the edge guy,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
they had
that was his
they had
heyday.
at least three guys in Tennessee at a point in time where they were an issue. I mean,
Yeah.
Belichick would always make a point whenever we played them that to point out their front.
It's like Philly last year at the joint practices. That's what
Exactly.
Milt Williams with that team.
Yeah.
That's what a front four looks
So
like.
those are the two things. I totally agree with both of you guys on the X factor potential for Keon White. I'm really looking at Milton Williams to see, A, if he can do what he did in spurts in Philadelphia on a full-time basis,
Right.
and B, if he's affected at all by not having the amount of talent around him up front that he did in Philadelphia. So I do think the potential's there to have one of those groups that you're talking about, Freddie.
Yeah.
That the other team has to sit there and say, these guys are a problem. We have to game plan and make sure that they don't wreck the game.
Yeah.
They have that potential, but that's one of the things where I want to see when the pads come on in July and August. How is how's the pocket affected when there's blocking going on?
Yeah.
Like right now, it seems like virtually every play they were getting right in, but it's very hard. And Mike talked about this on Tuesday. You know how hard it is for the line to deal with. Basically, every play is 3rd and 10, and they can't really do anything about stopping the guys coming after the quarterback.
Yeah, it's one of the fundamental questions of a good defense is, can you win your one-on-one matchups, or do we have to get creative and start scheming ways to get guys to the quarterback? You hope at this point that they're going to be able to win those one-on-one matchups because you do have some guys drawing attention. I just continue to be worried, a little skeptical that they're going to have the juice off the edges this year. And again, I don't know if it got drowned out, but I think next season we're talking about this team needs an elite pass rusher. That is going to be the narrative 2020.
Just wanted to resubmit that for the record.
No, I mean that.
Mike,
if I had
so.
if I had to look at, we actually did this on Catch 22 because we're always looking ahead to the draft next year. 2026 is pass rusher. It's going to be their number one need, I would say, going into that year. I mean, now right tackle will probably be up there because Moses is getting older, and number one receiver will always be a need until they fill that. But truly, that's a pillar position that they don't really have like a guy at, and it's a lot similar to receiver where like you have a pecking order. Like Milton Williams now, to Paul's point, is going to be the number one guy that teams are going to game plan for and teams are going to be ready for every single week. They've talked about using him like Jeffrey Simmons, in Tennessee in that similar role. So maybe they can get him away from some of the double teams and hunt those favorable matchups on the inside. But he's going to be the guy now. Jalen Carter was that guy in Philly. This is one of the things we talked about when they signed him as a free agent that I was a little bit small c concerned about was he's never really been a full-time player. He's never really been the guy. So this is going to be a step up for him in terms of all those types of things.
A little bit like the Dallas Thomas thing when we got him.
Hopefully it works out better than
Very
that.
similar.
Yeah.
Yes, very similar. Who ended up being a good player for the Patriots, but not the kind of splash that I think Belichick was probably anticipating.
So those are a couple things in my mind as we go into the quiet time of the NFL. But there is NFL news going around. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, with the Steelers.
There's a little Chris Berman right now.
Your guy this morning, one of your guys, Albert Breer, revealed that he knows some private things about Aaron Rodgers that he's not at liberty to talk about. That
I heard this.
That if he said,
was just poor to me.
No, but he said if we knew about him, we'd feel sorry for Aaron
feel differently.
Rodgers. We feel differently.
Okay.
So who knows what that is?
Don't throw that out there if you can't. If you're not at liberty to say what it is, don't throw that out
But we did
there.
find out that he got
I love
married.
Bert.
He's married now.
Do we know who he married yet?
No.
No.
Wait, Aaron
himself,
Rodgers is married?
maybe?
I think she's like just a non-famous woman.
Oh, poor
Dumois was reporting that she
Brittany with an I or something like that.
Brittany with an eye.
I don't know. You're more plugged in than me.
Yeah.
But Dumois reported
with an
he was
I
seen in a
and-
Pittsburgh hotel with a petite blonde, and they both had wedding rings on, and they were not Oura rings.
I'm glad he found the one.
He had a wedding
worried
ring
about
on when he met the Pittsburgh media, and he was
And
asked
was
about it,
asked
and he said,
about it.
"Yeah, I'm married."
Yeah.
Did
Now,
anybody
some
watch
people
Aaron
don't know for
Rodgers
sure
in
if
the
he
pits?
is.
Right.
Like, in all honesty,
like, what does that mean to him? I'm married to myself. But
To the job.
right to the job.
Well, it's
bad.
interesting because Danica Patrick has been on the podcast circle talking about her mental health during that relationship.
Well, Shan Woodley too was like,
And
this is
exactly.
miserable.
I couldn't think of her name, but
Yeah.
exactly. I was
Yeah.
trying to
I
rack
thought
my
he went
brain
out with
for it.
Olivia Munn.
Her
yeah,
too.
he did.
All the way,
She's
way
married to
back.
John Mulaney.
Oh, that's way back.
That's
Yeah.
a way back one. I
That
think
was when she was in the news.
Sharon
Olivia
Woodley
Munn's-
was the one that he was engaged to,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the whole
Yeah.
retreat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah.
How do you call it?
And then problems in Cincinnati, which I love.
They have some significant problems in
Yeah.
Cincinnati. Like the Trey Hendrickson thing, that's a dime a dozen that happens everywhere. The first round pick for
Shamar
Shamar
Stewart,
Stewart, that's not a common problem ever since the new CBA.
I must have missed this. Is he still holding out?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
and very publicly at this point.
It's getting
I
ugly.
believe he just stormed out of minicamp.
Yeah.
Really?
I thought I had gotten. Do you guys know what Sentinel is? I thought I had gotten Sentineled by someone when I saw the quote of what Shamar Stewart actually said, and I was like, he actually said that, and he actually said it.
Like, what was it?
He just basically was like, well, they just don't take care of people around here. Like, look at Trey, and now look
But
at
he's
me.
not even on the team
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. Like he's a rookie. He hasn't even practiced. And he hasn't practiced at all. A lot of rookies practice anyway. Patriots have a few of them that are practicing without contracts, and he hasn't played a lick of football for the Bengals, and he's already at his locker roasting them.
It's
in
even
the
more
media.
interesting to me
Yeah.
for a guy who blew out the gym in the testing, but hasn't been a highly productive player. So I think you had some questions about this guy's going to get overdrafted in terms of his college production. Is he going to be able to put it all together? Teams love those kind of guys that just come out of the combine like, oh my
The
God.
Bengals just can't help themselves. And I don't want to play Fred's side of the street ripping the Bengals, but I'm going to. These things are all basically slotted at this point. It's all about language and offset stuff and guarantees.
When the money's
when
paid.
the money is paid. And
Yeah.
they're always looking to avoid responsibility. Whatever it was. They did the same thing last year. I think this is like the 17th pick of the draft. Last year was the 18th pick. It's similar kind of situation. They did the same thing last year. No one is really having these problems anymore other than Cincinnati. You know, it's
Always
So do you think
something.
they're trying to nickel and dime in the margins probably?
yeah,
They're
it's
doing
all in the
stuff that other
margins.
teams
like,
aren't
it's,
doing.
like as a first round pick, it's guaranteed anyway for those 4 years. Like obviously the 5th year option's not guaranteed, but
Yeah.
like why? It's not my money. I get it. You know.
So this was
I
part
don't,
of
I don't
the
understand why you would openly create. They had such a good offseason too,
yeah.
where they got their high price guys. They got everybody done early, so everybody could be ready to go. And now they just create another mess for themselves.
So this was part of the quote. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, but this is part of the quote. Y'all, in referencing the Bengals, just want to win arguments more than winning games, in my opinion. And then he brought up the Trey Hendrickson situation and himself and said that.
Yeah, I heard like somebody describe the situation as stubbornness, but I don't know which side they were referring to. You know,
I would say that I agree with the player. Normally, on like a rookie like this, I'd just be like, you know, shut up, sign your contract, get in, get your work done. But like that mentality, I agree with what he's saying. Like that's what the Bengals are all about. I just want to win the deal. I mean, we've criticized we've criticized the Red Sox.
we've criticized the Patriots.
in recent years. Well, I'm sort of keeping it outside of the family, Fred.
Okay, all
But
right.
yes, we've criticized the Patriots. We're like, you know, it's got to be value. It's got to be there. You know, these are the kinds of things that I think are unnecessary rifts that you create all on your own,
Right.
really not to save much. Like you, even if they end up winning this, if the Bengals end up quote unquote winning the negotiation, what have you won?
Nothing. You probably lost
Nothing.
the player.
Like weigh the pluses and minuses. You have a player who's on board. He's new to your organization. Do you think he's going to want to run through a wall for you now the next 4 years when you do
Right.
eventually sign him?
Now we say that not knowing exactly what the issue is,
Right.
you know. So, but it
I
sounds
actually-
like it's
the
not
ball-
a big issue.
It's all like all this stuff is in fine print. Like
Yeah.
all these contracts
No, I know.
are slotted, and in the first round especially, it's all fully guaranteed contracts. So it's all about when do you get the paychecks? Are they on game days, or is it a signing bonus up front? How much of a signing bonus? Do you have other incentive laden type of things within the contract? But none of it is about the max value of the contract. The max value is the max value.
Sure.
Now, when you get into the later rounds, like the second round picks are slower usually to sign because a lot of those guys are negotiating for fully guaranteed contracts, but they might not get them. So they might only get like 3 out of the 4 years guaranteed. But these first round picks, it's a full science to it at this point where you're getting what you're getting. That's the
You
business.
get what you get, and you don't get upset.
And I'm not saying that as Shamar Stewart's the problem. I'm like both sides,
Yeah.
but mostly the Bengals. I don't know what do you he wants the check now, and you want to give it to him on Sundays. A weekly, bi-weekly
Something
pay
stupid
cycle.
like that.
What is
it's future guarantees. So the Bengals have the Bengals want to set a new precedent with first round pick contracts, which would allow the club to void future guarantees. So rather than just have it be guaranteed, there's some gray area there.
And setting a
with
precedent.
technicality.
Why do you need to set a new
This is
precedent?
literally
And Stewart wants it
collectively
just to be like
bargained.
Amarius Mims got last year.
Right.
Yeah,
Same as
Right.
as it was
why
last year.
are you using me
So
to
it's
be your
not
guinea
like
pig?
it's
Right.
not like Stewart is trying to set a precedent saying no, I know that
Right.
the 17th pick only gets $20 million. I want $40 million because
Right.
I'm better than that.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That
it's
to me
weird to
would be
try to do
different.
it in the NIL era where these kids are coming in with
Yeah, right.
that experience working with agents, negotiating deals, getting paid. Like there's a higher sophistication where
It's a good
couple
point,
years
too.
ago, kids were just coming in bushy, like
Right.
bright-eyed, bushy-tailed,
When do I
like
get
just
paid?
excited to
And
get
you don't have the
to
urgency
work.
because you do have a little
Right.
money in your pocket.
Right.
So you're not necessarily looking to get your parents in a
Right.
house or something, that a lot of these guys probably enter the league. They probably have some of that stuff already set in place.
It sounds so familiar to me. I've talked about it with you guys before in my past life out in California. Like that was where you would always spend so much time arguing about year 3 of the series, and you haven't even made a pilot yet. You're spending all this time talking about money that might be made down the road in success, and these are the things that are like holding it up. It's
This just all the
negotiations.
Bengals have just a gift wrapped Super Bowl window with
Yep.
Joe Burrow
Yeah, right.
and
Look at-
Jamar Chase.
doing everything they
They
can.
literally
And they're
have
just stepping on
everybody
it.
wants to have their roster, and they just keep doing these things to get in their own
Yeah.
way. Trey Hendrickson, like you're in a win now mode. Just pay the guy what he
Right.
wants. Like what are you waiting for? T Higgins, like they just keep kicking the can down the road on T Higgins for like multiple years. And
He's under franchise tag this
no,
year.
he's
signed.
signed
Oh, he's
now.
signed? Okay.
But even his contract was a very team-friendly contract given his like status in the league. So it's everything in Cincinnati to get in your own way of having like arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in the prime of his career. Like all you should be doing now is pushing the chips in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
It's just got to be so frustrating for Joe Burrow too to see like
Literally.
that same opportunity and be like, you guys, like we need a team that can, like I'm betting on the Bengals to have another slow start this year. It seems like all signs are pointing
And
to
you
that.
took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say all the drama last offseason and look at the start they had, right? Like, okay, are we signing up for
Every
that
year.
again?
It's
Go for it.
One of the players was quoted, it might have been T. Higgins, just saying how, you just look at our recent track record of starting slowly. He goes, maybe we do need to play in the preseason. And, like, I didn't know if that meant, like, was that a shot at Zach Taylor and the approach? Because I don't think it can't be as simple as that because no one else plays in the preseason either. And they're not all getting off to the slow starts that you are. Like, not every team comes out of the gate,
Right.
1-3 every year, the way the Bengals do.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of starters don't play around the league in the preseason. So if it was as simple as that,
Everybody would do
Kansas
it.
City wouldn't start 4-0 all the time.
Zach Taylor's a problem too. I mean, I still don't really know what he does for them.
What is it?
Yeah, like I just
You're
don't.
new
Their offense is just Joe Burrow in the shotgun throwing bombs to Jamar Chase and T Higgins. It's like I think anybody could do that, and I just wonder with Zach Taylor,
Mac Jones couldn't.
is that financially tied to where like he's probably not making a ton of money. He probably has a big buyout if they do fire him, and so they're just like, oh, we'll just keep this guy instead of actually getting an upgrade at head coach. And it just that whole organization's funny.
It's a pretty tough start for him. At Browns versus Jaguars, at Vikings, at Broncos versus Lions. So,
Love it.
yep.
Not enough bad things. Dan in Boston writes in, leave Mayo alone, he says. You stuck up for him all last year, even though behind the scenes I bet you knew Mayo was terrible. I still remember after his introductory press conference you saying, I trust Mr. Kraft over and over again. Fans can still be mad how bad Mayo was. I'm still pissed. Thanks for your continued patronizing. Listen,
Yeah, Fred.
be mad all you want, but I'm just saying the personal stuff that I was reading yesterday, there's no need for that. There's no need for that.
And we weren't, first of all, we weren't overly defensive.
But he's talking to me. He's talking to me personally.
But
and
during the
that's
during the
fine.
course of the season, we did not ignore the shortcomings that we were seeing.
Yeah, no.
I mean, especially if you listen to the post-game show and Mike needing to open a vein half the time,
Yep.
after every game.
I'm like covered now.
But I just, there's no need to get personal the way I was reading yesterday. Yes, like I said, last year was a disaster. There's no doubt about it. As Paul said, the fact that all these people are gone is proof of that.
I mean, it's rare to be one and done
Yeah.
in the NFL as a head coach. I'm not saying it's unprecedented, but it's rare.
Right.
I think that was the only conversation we were having at the time at the end of last year was this is really rare to one and done a coach, and do you do it? It's they can make the case obviously for doing it, but I don't think any of us knew for sure that if they would do it or not.
Yeah, I pushed back a little bit. Like, I think gave everything the benefit of the doubt early on, but I think I personally experienced it a lot like the fans did of seeing the team's performances, and then we know the games that stood out as like, whoa, boy.
I mean, I'm going to give a very specific example, and this happened throughout the course of the season, but very specifically, you and I were quite critical of the time management at the end of the first half of the Seattle game, which was week 2. They didn't handle the clock well. They gave Seattle an extra possession, and it cost them points, and a game that they ultimately lost in overtime. Those are the little things on the margins that cost you games. That was week 2. We spent a lot of time in the post-game show criticizing that. Not like they don't know how to, set up a game plan. They don't know how, just simple clock management stuff.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't wait until they were 3-11 when we started doing this. This was the first loss of the season.
I mean, Arizona was definitely where you started to feel like that post game. I was like, okay.
That's when I felt like
this-
that there was a chance you could be 1-9
But
after the Arizona
to me,
game.
the Tennessee win thing was
bad too.
That was the final straw. I was like, this is like just throw some grass up in the air. Like this is a simple thing.
The wind changed.
Yeah, I mean that was tough. It was a tough season. It was a bad year.
Yeah, so
Which
we
is
didn't-
why I think we're making the point. Like, we're not trying to gloss over how dysfunctional it was. We're just trying to say, hey, the situation's been rectified. Move on. Be happy. Like, it's looking a lot more positive this year.
I mean, the difference on the field is striking, and it's just, I mean, I don't want it to be a comparison necessarily to Mayo. I am very impressed with just the command that Mike Vrabel has, and clearly has a vision for how he wants his team to play. And like I've said many times in the spring since we watched the practices, his stamp will be on this team. It already is on this team. And that to me is exciting. You feel there's going to be an identity there. I don't know how it's going to manifest itself. There might be ups and downs. They're gonna come out of the gate and be a tough team that doesn't turn the ball over and forces. But his goal is to try to take advantage of bad football, and I think that's the kind of team he's putting together right now that will have a chance to do that.
The details, like the attention to detail already is so much further ahead than where it was the last couple of years. I don't know if that, again, like, do they have the talent? That's going to decide how many games they win, but just in terms of watching practice, like there's just not, it's not as clunky. Like there's just not as many mental errors and rehuddles, and this guy jumped and that guy jumped and this guy motioned when he wasn't supposed to motion, and they're getting barked at for you're in the wrong alignment or whatever. That type of stuff just isn't happening. And to take advantage of bad football, like he keeps saying, like that's all it takes sometimes, especially if you have an easy schedule. It's just don't beat yourselves and play fundamentally sound football.
I mean, how many times in the last 2 years did we see another team take advantage of the Patriots' bad football? And especially when Bill was here, that was jarring because that's the antithesis of what I always thought he would be as a coach. And to me, that was one of the biggest representations of how things had changed. And it wasn't, when I first got here and Brady left, you thought, well, he'll at least have a team that's going to have a really good defense, and they're not going to hopefully make the critical errors. And when those things started happening consistently, that's when it all started to fall apart.
Listening to Drake May too talk about some of the coaching he's gotten from Vrabel, it does sound very like Bill Brady-esque, where it's like it's not the little details of like your footwork was off here or something. It's like the situational
1, 2,
stuff, like the big picture stuff. Like, we don't have all day for you to hang back there and hold the ball. We gotta when the play is designed, just run the play. That type of stuff I think is going to be really helpful. Like I think situationally, even like kicking. They kick in London. They kick the ball right down the middle of the field, and he returns a punt for 96 yards, touchdown. Right, Jaguars, like that type of things. Like Vrabel's really good at being like, we're gonna kick it in the corner, right? Like we're not gonna kick it right down the middle. Like those are the things that make a big difference.
Yep. Let's see. This is Jared in L.A. has some constructive criticism for us.
We addressed some of these yesterday.
Oh, did you read this email?
It's okay. You can read it again.
Oh, okay.
The second one was more about this show. The first one was about.
Yeah, the first one says, Evan on Catch 22, when you want to say something but Alex is talking, you make a noise that is so unfathomably uncomfortable. It sounds like, but really under your breath, and the mic picks it up every time. I can't describe it better.
That's pretty funny.
So,
There it is.
do you know what he's talking about?
No, we both had no
Evidently
idea what he was
Deuce
talking
does.
about.
Do we have to
Well,
listen to
I
the
sort
tape?
of feel
I
that
don't know.
noise sometimes when, like we're going and you're kind of sitting on something, and I feel like you're good, Fred. You look at us and you see if we have something to say, and we kind of visual cue. But sometimes I feel like I have to stifle a,
You can direct that at me because I'm always talking. I get it.
No.
Sometimes I need to step back and let others speak.
No, it's your show.
All of you are guilty of this. When describing a player having a great day at practice, I'm not saying he's LT or anything. I'm not saying fit him with a red jacket. I'm not saying he's all pro yet or anything Drake May. It's I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady just yet. We know. Stop freaking saying this, please. Evan, you were the most guilty of this. You say it about 3 times a show. We know you aren't comparing them to the GOATs or saying they're Hall of Famers. For the love of God, please stop.
I responded to that and said, not everybody knows. Like you might think that. Like
I will not stop doing that.
Yeah, but not everybody knows that when I say Efton Chisholm's having a good camp, that I'm not comparing him to Julian Edelman and Wes Welker. Not everybody knows
Like
that.
the rest of the media has been doing. I'm not ever going to stop doing that.
Anyway, show is great, really. This is just nails on a chalkboard to me now that I've heard it once. As a side note, War Pigs or Sweet Leaf, Black Sabbath should be the walkout song.
Fair criticisms, maybe.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I'm always about...
I don't know what he was talking about with the first one. The second one, he's right. We do say I do say
Oh, the second one
We
is...
gotta ask Alex.
It's
Yeah.
100% the emailer is right. We do it all the time. I do it on purpose.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'll continue to do it unless there's a sign, like this guy's special. Like if you see that, when a guy's active and you sort of see him around the ball a little bit, I'm not suggesting he's the next, Craig Woodson. I'm not suggesting he's the next Devin McCourty. Like that to me is relevant. You know what I mean? Like he's a rookie who's showing up, making plays, and he's been active part of the
So you're
secondary
not saying
so
Roman
far.
Anthony is Babe Ruth yet?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Can we let him,
All right.
maybe get 2 hits?
I don't know.
I'm not putting him in the BU
You know,
Baseball
now-
Hall of Fame
now-
yet, but
Meyer, on the other hand, he got three dingers already. Two last night.
Smooth as silk.
That second home run was the first time I've actually been excited about the Red Sox in like 3 years,
Wow.
probably.
Wow.
That got me off the
Since
couch.
21.
I was like, let's go.
No, but I do think that we tend to glom onto players quickly in Boston. And you're right about the kids for the Red Sox, but that's why I I try to temper enthusiasm a little bit. They're just getting started. I'm not comparing them to the guys that you're thinking of them being comparable to, because there's a long way to go before you see if that ability's there, the durability, the consistency. There's a lot that goes into it, and then once they do, that's different.
Cole in Iowa, could you envision a scenario where the preseason shows great games for the preseason shows, not show, like it shows great games for all of Polk, Baker, Booty, and Chisholm? Do you think the fans would be divided over who should make the team and who should be cut? If the PU crew is equally divided and discussion becomes heated, can we name it the Chisholm Schism?
that's good.
That was a long way to go
Yeah.
for that one, but it was good. Yeah,
Actual
good.
question,
Well
can
done.
each of you give your pick for an offensive player that will come down with the Foxborough flu and be stashed on IR for next year? Any candidates for that?
Maybe one of the tight ends, maybe the young tight
Yeah,
ends.
that's a good pick.
I don't think anybody goes. I don't really
Yeah.
think that's a thing. You get 16 spots on the practice squad now. You can bring guys back from IR now. Like I don't think there's a lot of Foxborough flu.
I just wonder if Jalen Polk, if he is on the outside looking in, he has the shoulder thing. He's probably going to practice in camp, so PUP will probably be out. But like, can you put him on IR and then, he's out 4 weeks, and if somebody else gets hurt and it opens up a roster spot, maybe you bring him back in like October. It's just one of those ways that you don't have to cut him, as
Yeah.
a
It's a
second
good-
round
it's
pick.
a good
It makes
point.
it easy to just kick the can down the
Right,
road and have to make a hard
because
decision
someone,
on those
unfortunately, someone will get hurt, and it will open up a spot, and maybe that will give him the opportunity to catch on then.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I would just, quibble semantics because that's what I do.
Sure.
Like I don't necessarily wouldn't consider that Foxborough flu. I would say he has a pre-existing injury. Like I think Kendrick Bourne probably could have opened the season on the active roster last year, and I think for a lot of the things that Evan is saying, they put him on PUP to sort of put the problem off a little bit.
a lot-
You could see it again. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Diggs?
It's more pertinent when you have a lot of talent on the roster and you have tough decisions to make. When it'd be great to have a problem where we have so many wide receivers playing well, we don't know who to keep. I don't know if they're going to have that problem. In regards to that list, I think Javon Baker still has a long way to go.
Yeah.
855-PATS-500 is the hotline. Let's go to Nate in Connecticut. What's up, Nate?
Hey, guys. Can you guys hear me well?
Yep.
So first off, I just want to say I called in the Catch-22 yesterday, saying it was my second to last day of school. I want you guys to take a wild guess on what today was.
Your last day of school?
The day after your
Yes,
second.
correct.
Yeah.
Today was my last day of school. Super hyped. Let's go. But yeah, that final year, 8th grade, I'm going to be a freshman next year for high school.
Nice.
But yeah, super excited. But anyways, my question for you guys is,
This kid's only in 8th grade.
You had an
Yeah.
8th grade graduation?
Yeah.
How was middle school graduation?
Yeah. You sound older than 8th grade.
You do.
but, Yeah.
I was stunned to find out
I'm
you're only.
14.
No way.
Get out of here.
I would. Yeah, that is a compliment. You
Just to be
sound
clear.
much more mature than a.
Yeah, well, thank you so
14.
much. Well, anyways, my question to you guys is Evan Chisholm a lock for Patriots wide receiver core? Based on what I hear and based on like the videos I've seen, he looks really shifty, and I think he'd be a good addition to the wide receiver room if we were to keep him. Thank you guys.
Well, based on what you hear, he should be in the Hall of Fame by now because he's everyone's darling coming out of
just the
minicamp.
Patriots Hall of
We're
Fame.
not
I haven't
comparing him
heard-
to
I
Julian
haven't
Edelman.
I haven't
okay?
heard Canton
Yeah,
yet.
we're not comparing him to Julian Edelman.
No, I mean it's way too early for me to give
He
you.
has-
He's not a lock.
roster lock.
He's not a lock.
He has set the table for himself to make a push in training camp. Like
Yes.
he did what he needed to do in the spring, so that we get into camp. Now it's a real thing that we're going to be watching.
He
in
will
training
get his opportunities in camp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for him is just his skill set is very unique to that slot receiver role that has been the Julian Edelmans and the Wes Welkers and Deion Branch, Troy Brown, whatever. So, Vrabel said it himself. He has a certain skill set, and I think that's exactly what he was
He has a
talking.
specific set of skills.
Right, and it's unique to what they like to do.
So
Find
Nate is in 8th grade and sounds a lot older. This next caller is a lot older, who is a lot less mature. Christian in LA is on the call. What's up, Christian?
Less mature. Wow. That's hurtful.
You got a
That's
good
very hurtful
villain
coming
laugh,
from a guy who can't figure out what to do with his extra soap. Anyway,
Wow, that's a good one though. Good, Christian.
Good
That's
retort.
good.
Good retort.
I like it. I like it.
you guys already stole my thunder on what I want to talk about football, so I'll go to my alternative. This weekend is my 30th high school reunion, and I'm not going to go. One, because it's the 30th, and two, because I had a few infamous moments back in high school that doesn't seem to go away.
Shocked.
And so I know us listeners would love to know you guys a little bit more. And my questions then to you guys are, what was your most embarrassing high school moment?
Oh, most embarrassing high school
I went
moment.
off the head.
All right, thanks, Christian.
I pooped my pants. No,
No.
like, what am I?
You deuced.
I know. Well, I mean, this isn't really embarrassing. I don't know. An kind of embarrassing one was against our rivals in prep school in overtime, and me and my defense partner were like going to back up. They were coming on a line rush, and we hit skates, and we both fell down, and we lost my senior year to our rivals. The kid went in on a breakaway and scored because me and my idiot defense partner touched. I don't know if that doesn't count. It's not like I
not-
pooped my
yeah.
pants
Yeah,
kind of
that's
story,
that's
but
not
that
what
was
he's
embarrassing. I was
talking
like, you fell down, but I'll think about it more as other people go.
Okay.
There's something better.
I was suspended my junior year of high school, and when my mother came to get me from the school, she grabbed me by the ear and slapped me in the back of the head through the entire way through the parking lot. The entire school could see it. Through the windows. It was yelling at me. It was bad.
That's a good one, Matt.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's
a
good.
good one.
That's good.
Maybe when my dad got in a fight at one of my hockey games too, that was pretty embarrassing.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's good.
But also, hell yeah.
Yeah, no,
I don't really have one.
No,
That you were embarrassed? No.
that blue suit you wore to
I feel
Yeah.
boring. What? I didn't wear a blue suit.
It was white.
in my memory.
Paul has a lot of moments
was
where now that he looks
the
back,
cool
he
kid.
should have been embarrassed.
I mean, no, I don't
Yeah.
really have
I
any.
mean,
I got dumped. That was kind of embarrassing.
Okay, you got dumped.
That's like the one time that ever happened to me.
Okay.
The one.
The one time.
Was it a
I'm
public dumping?
gonna let it happen once.
Was it a public
Once.
dumping?
No,
Oh, so then.
no, but everybody
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Evan? No.
played the fifth.
Yeah.
What?
Alex?
I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
None I
Yeah.
can really think of off the top of my head.
I got pantsed once in an 8th grade party.
That's
With,
so
like,
deuce.
Like I had shorts on, and it was kind of like the more
Were
popular
you
kids than I
going
was.
commando that day?
No, I was
Yeah,
tighty
okay.
whities, but we went right to the tighty whities, and I think I was boxers from that point on. So that actually, now I think of it, that was pretty embarrassing. You're punching a little above your weight in terms of popularity. You're at the party, and everyone knows it, and then you're standing there, and all of a sudden someone comes behind you and gives you the old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was bad.
Does Babe Ruth baseball count as high school? That's too
Oh.
young, right?
I had one of those.
Yeah.
I was going back for a fly ball, and I got my spike caught in my stirrup. Ripped my whole sock, fell down, ball went off the top of my glove. That was pretty embarrassing.
Okay.
But that was not in high school. That was a senior Babe Ruth
Like
game.
similar, like it was sport. It's embarrassing. I fell down.
Yeah, it was the third out of the game too. We ended up losing. It was bad.
Yeah, I looked at a called third strike to end the game in an all-star game against Cooperstown, New York.
Did you throw your bat?
Oh, I cried.
You looked at.
I thought it was inside. To this day, I think the ball was inside, but should have swung.
There we have it. There's always
It was
some mitigating
it was belt
factor.
high, but I thought it was inside. I made the
You're right.
the big show of it,
almost got
headed down to first base and get called out.
It's inside.
I was embarrassing.
I honestly don't. I don't really have one that
You
that
buried them all.
stands out.
You tried to forget.
I mean,
them all.
like I was a nerd, so I was embarrassing to begin with. Like I just lived in a state of embarrassment.
Wait. What
so-
about the time you got come on manned by ESPN?
Yeah, but I was an adult when that happened.
Pretty embarrassing.
But no, actually, I thought that was great.
cool.
I mean, at
What
that
was
point.
it for?
So
have it on my
yeah,
phone. I had to
Atlas.
take a picture.
It was one of those Zoom press conferences back during COVID, and I was trying to ask Bill Belichick a question, and Atlas crashed the press conference and jumped on top of me, and because I was speaking, so I think he was confused, like who was I talking to, and Bill and I had a moment about it. We had a moment over it because he's a dog guy. So
Was that like the impetus of how the whole dog thing started with like Nike and the draft that year?
no,
too?
that was
anything to do
after
with
that. But he said that Atlas and Nike should have a play date, and I was like,
Just tell me
Did
when.
you
I'll
just
be
say
there.
nice to me? Do something nice to me? Like what is going on? It was
Said
never
you have no
happened.
personality.
it was shocking. It was on ESPN. Yeah,
I
it
have
was,
a picture
it,
of it
like,
here.
went,
I'm
like,
gonna
mini
get it.
viral.
I'm gonna get it.
I'm
Because like
convinced the Nike thing was just like Bill went up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the draft and didn't know they were going to go on him, and Nike
yeah.
was just chilling there.
no, it went viral because Bill actually showed some personality, like in a press conference. So it was like shocking to everybody that he like kind of broke the fourth wall, if you will, and like let his guard down a little bit. But no, I just lived in a constant state of embarrassment in high school. So I like pretty much everything was.
That's good.
Like it started not being embarrassing because I was just so used to it. So it was just.
Yeah, that dumping that left a mark.
Yeah.
Paul's still thinking about it.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
Why? What was the reason?
Nothing. That was it.
Yeah.
That
wanted
was
to
why
see
it
other
hurt.
people.
well, I once stumped a girl because I didn't like the way she danced.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't tell her that, but that was the reason.
That's a topic of conversation I forget where I
Yep,
was, but
come
it
on.
was
That-
like,
yeah.
what's the randomest, most insignificant thing that gave you the ick about
Right.
like a romantic partner?
Right. Yeah.
Question.
I don't want to get into it, but she had this
Yeah.
For me, it
weird-
was hand size, small hands. I was like, that's
Oh,
can't
wow.
do it.
You know, it's small hands.
That's
So
right.
like Loud and Swain. I mean, over there. Should we go over that side?
I have, not to flex or anything, but high school was like a good time for me. Like, like I kind of eased
Well, that's
through
what
it.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Same.
I didn't really have anything.
I wasn't like in that constant state of embarrassment.
No, high school was
Yeah.
a bad time.
Yeah,
for me.
no,
I
other
was-
people's
I was
experience in
chubby,
high school
I
was different.
Yeah, I had.
you know?
I mean, I had a lot of friends.
Yeah,
I was,
yeah.
very. And this can be hard to believe, but I was very social.
Yeah.
I like to talk.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I realized one of the things we came up when I was just with my buddies about getting the ick was a girl was a little interested in me, but I didn't like her because she smelled like chocolate. That was what everyone was
smelled like
she smelled
chocolate.
I don't know, it was like her perfume or her scent, whatever it was, and I love chocolate, but for some reason that I was like, I'm
And
not
did
into
you
this.
ever get to the root of that? Like why she smelled like
mentally
chocolate?
inside,
Did,
or like her?
Did
I
her
don't know.
family own like a chocolate
No, I don't know.
factory
I
or
think
something? Or
some kind of
Her
perfume or
perfume,
something. I don't know.
maybe?
I don't
You're
even know
more
what it
of
really
a
was.
floral guy, light
Eau
florals.
de Nestle?
They're still making fun of me.
Goodness.
Remember that girl Deuce didn't want to go out with because she smelled like chocolate? And that was,
Oh, de parfum.
I don't know. I love chocolate.
I have none of those, by the way. I
None
can't
of
really
those?
think
No
of
icks?
any.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they're named Gina, Paul's in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Heather was mine.
I'm just-
like I never met a girl
Listen.
named Heather who wasn't good looking.
Yeah. Okay. I agree.
Yeah.
Just give me an example and I'll stop.
Yeah. Right. So
They're batting 1,000. Gene is a
so
batting 1,000.
Christian actually had a good call with
go.
a good subject
He
that
did.
evoked some conversation.
Dig up all our skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever really went out with a Gina either. Nina, but not Gina.
You were almost there.
It was close.
Steve's in New York. What's up, Steve?
Hi guys, how's it going?
Good.
So I have two things: a comment on the media, and then a question regarding receivers. I comment on the media, I feel like you guys do a really good job of kind of keeping things into context. When I listen to the other sports media things in the Boston area, they're a little bit more negative and, are quick to judge. One of the things that I just don't understand is this constant comparison that can sometimes happen with, like Drake May. I heard on NBC Boston, they were talking about his leadership, and they wanted him to be more like Tom Brady as a leader. And I'm thinking, you guys forget, Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady until 3-4 years into his stint as a player. Even the Efton Chisholm thing with Julian Edelman. Again, he didn't. He developed. It took a while for him to beat Julian Edelman. It's good that he's getting his stuff now, and it sounds like he's progressing. But I feel like there's a quick we remember these players before, and so we want the guys to be that way. But you got to give them time to grow. It didn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
That's my one comment about the area, and I think that's why sometimes when people call in, they think like, oh, well, you guys are favorite, being nicer to the team, but it's more like there's more of a context of things.
Thank you.
Well, can I just
My phone sucks,
Can
by
I
the way.
just offer a quick response defending the NBC Sports Boston, I guess in this case, when someone is wondering or hoping that Drake May can be more of a leader like Tom Brady, it didn't take Tom Brady 4 or 5 years to become that. He was a leader the day he got here. That's why he made the team as a fourth-string quarterback.
They saw the
Belichick
leadership
was
in him.
enamored with his leadership qualities.
Gathering the other rookies.
He didn't become the player he was until probably, as Steve said, 03, 04, once he won multiple titles. But in 01, he was an immense leader as he led the team to that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that's what, I don't think you need to be established as a player, a finished product as a player to be a good leader.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not, and then I'm just thinking of from the Man in the Arena where he talked about how, he started realizing his role as a leader, and you started hearing more of that in, the later episodes. But, my question, and I think, Evan, you had talked about this, about some of the receivers that we have are good at single coverage, not single, but man coverage. And I just want to know what makes a receiver good for zone? Like, what are the skills that are needed for a good zone receiver?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Well, the old school rule of thumb is you break away from man and you settle against zone. So, again, zone coverage, you want to find the pockets in between each player, the defenders and where their zone coverages are, and you want to settle inside those pockets and make yourself friendly to the quarterback, make yourself as big as you possibly can.
And I think the skill there is just awareness.
Yeah,
it's
awareness. It's understanding their goals and what their assignments and landmarks are, and reading one high, two high. You can tell, okay, it's cover 2, it's cover 3. Like, this is where their zones are going to be, and this is where I'm going to settle in, and things like that. I would say the best zone coverage receiver that I've seen with the Patriots is Edelman. Like, Edelman had that quarterback background where he just knew where those little pockets of space were going to be. He was excellent at it. I would say, probably the best I've seen do that. So
Troy Brown was another one.
Yeah,
very high IQ.
They just it's just a feel thing of kind of knowing where space is, and that's all a lot of football is. Like, we get technical about it, but it's just kind of figuring out where the space and the defense is and the
Space
holes
and
and
leverage.
stuff.
He gets technical.
Yeah.
Well, along those
ball
lines, Pop Douglas, I thought, had a pretty good spring and was productive. And we had some questions how he would adapt maybe to Josh's system. Still have questions. Can he handle the load of it all? But he had a good spring.
I think that's a good point. In almost all of the packages that they had that involved 3 receivers, he was in. Sometimes it was Bourne, sometimes it was Kyle Williams, sometimes it was Booty, but it was always Doug. If there were 3 receivers in a set, Douglas was out there. I think that's a great sign for him.
I think another.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just another good sign. I don't think Vrabel loves doing press conferences, but he was asked about Pop Douglas, and he Pop is so unintentionally funny and likable that Vrabel almost broke his stern character with the media, and his face just lit up talking about Pop, talking about how much he loves him, his personality, what he brings, and Pop too, just talking overwhelmingly high about Josh and the playbook and like what slot receivers have done in these systems before. It seems like he's put a lot of time getting to know this playbook, and it looks like it's going well for him.
It could be a huge year for him. I mean, he's got a great opportunity.
120 plus targets anyway, right? No, I'm serious.
If he's able to stay healthy and can handle the volume, I mean, it's totally true. Josh has some fun with him.
That's the question: is can he handle the volume? Can he stay healthy if he's going to be targeted that much? But I was so encouraged by how he was finding those leveraged opportunities, and like they were getting him matched up on linebackers and stuff, and he was breaking the right way, and the ball was coming out quickly, and it was hitting him quickly over the middle of the field.
That late touchdown in the red zone the other day.
It's just
Tuesday.
like those little things. I wasn't 100% sure how he was going to grasp onto those nuances of this system, but he was seamless this spring. He was
all right. My food's here. We'll take a break. Come back. A lot of calls, a lot of emails, some off-season stuff. So
nice.
Maybe have a little fun in the second half. We'll be right back.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
What's the adjustment been like to Josh and the offense? How's that coming for you, other than the world fell into a panic when you supposedly threw 4 interceptions on that first?
Shoot. I think it's feeling good. I think kind of catching the stride, just trying to get as many reps out there as possible. I think you got to take the meetings and what you learn from, when you do get a chance to run the plays, just take it and take it the next time you run it. I think it's all the same concepts in the league, but it's different wordage, different verbiage. Same guys, mostly same guys run them, but just kind of feeling out kind of how they run it and timing and just kind of get a different concept. So I think it's been good. I think I'm starting to kind of really kind of find a stride. I'm kind of bummed out we're about to leave, but no, it's fun. Anytime we're going against a great defense, they got good players, 2 great corners. I tell Gonzo every day I'm gonna test them. I'm not gonna not throw at them or CD. 2 of the I think the best corners and one of the best duos in the league. What an opportunity for us to go out there every day and throw against those guys.
How much have you and Mike and Josh talked about the expectations for you as a leader on this team going into your second year?
I think it's an opportunity for me, to take a jump. I think kind of from last year being a rookie, trying to come in here and kind of earn my stripe, earn my keep, just kind of through hard work. And I think kind of this year is same approach. You got new guys in here, new staff. Kind of got to keep getting to know everybody. Kind of show my work ethic, and then kind of from there, as the season comes around, try to take a next step of leadership and leading the offense, and hopefully leading this football team.
As a voice and as a player, how would you define your comfort level now for the 1 year?
It's world's different. I was talking to Pep about that earlier. Remember this time last year, Pep and Doug, I was playing quarterback back there, and we had a 1 high, 2 high read, and they were playing with me basically the whole snap, and I messed it up. But just confidence and being out there, having reps, seeing some of these plays, seeing how these guys on defense play, and I think it's world's different. It's a little different to have new offense, new verbiage, but I think kind of just finding where we're at in the offense and finding what we're going to be good at and our identities. It's been fun. It's been cool.
We've seen Stefon Diggs out there with you guys a little bit more in the past few weeks. Just what are your first impressions of him and just getting to play with him?
Yeah, he seems like awesome teammate. He's my next door to my locker mate, so he's one down from beside me. We talk all the time. He's a veteran in this league. He's made a lot of plays, played in a lot of big time games. So just an awesome voice for the receiver room for this offense. He's played some playoff games. He's had some big games, and I think once he kind of recovers and he's getting back out there, I'm looking forward to be able to throw him footballs, and just it's always good having a guy like that in your team.
Have you seen Stefan's work ethic in action?
Yeah, he comes in here, lifting, in the meetings, asking questions, asking me after plays, hey, what should I have done there? Hey, in times past, I've done this when the guy's playing this leverage, stuff like that. So, he's seen a lot of different things, played a long time in this league, so it's been great for me to be able to, veteran receiver, him and Mac, and, Kendrick Bourne, you got three really, not really old heads, but kind of old heads in there, in their 30s. So it's been awesome for us to kind of find how they lead the room and help this offense.
The expectations that are coming is a lot of improvement on the coaching staff, on the roster. It's your second year. You had such a good, at times, rookie year.
Yeah.
The expectations are already growing. How do you react to those and feel about high expectations
Yeah, I
being
think you
put
want
on?
high expectations. I think that's what you want. I think this city, the Patriots are used to winning, and that's what we're trying to get back to. I think you want people to expect you to play good, and I think that pressure is kind of what fuels you to be out here. What fuels you to get the rep right in practice. What fuels you to work hard in the meetings or work hard in the weight room, or kind of not what happened last year happen again. So
What accompanies that in Boston sometimes is an impatience.
yeah.
Like why is he's supposed to be ... this
Yeah.
much better? Do you anticipate that? Do you realize that?
And it's hard to anticipate anything. I'm just trying to focus out here on practice, and hopefully when the game time comes, I'm gonna try to play my best football, and I think from there just try to help this team win.
Drill when everyone's lined up and you guys are doing the sprints. How does that challenge you vocally and I guess physically too?
Yeah, not really a challenge. Just try not to screw the guys over with the cadence and have them jump off sides. So just trying to help the guys out, give them a little heads up in the front. But it's good for us to hear cadence. Cadence is a big thing in this league to see what defense is doing, help the guys up front blocking. Every D line in this league is good. So it's a great way for those guys listening to the cadence and also conditioning when they're tired. Listening to the cadence.
Why is it important? Josh McDaniel's system have more post-snap adjustments than you've used in the past, and how do you feel like you guys are gelling with those so far?
Post-snap? Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think every offense kind of has different pre-snap, different post-snap. I think what kind of coach does a great job of getting guys in matchups and letting them win. So looking forward to doing that, and got to do my part and getting guys lined up and playing the right side, and just doing my part of taking what's open and taking the first thing, because sometimes when I tend to wait for the big one, and that's not you're holding the ball, and sometimes it's not open. So
why is it important for you to test Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis?
I think just getting them work, because I know there's going to be guys and quarterbacks in this league with big time receivers that are going to go at Gonzo, go at CD, and I think there's going to be receiver rooms. Like if we were playing our defense, get those guys excited in the receiver room to play such a good quarterback duo who gets a lot of hype, and it's well deserved on speaking for ourselves for those guys on our side. But playing someone like that, you want to prove them wrong and prove them, hey, this guy's making a bunch of money. Let's go out there and show them what we can do. So that's our mindset if we were playing somebody like our duo, and just giving them work. I think that's what it's great. They don't want to. Gonzo wants work. I try to throw him a back shoulder if he's staying on top, or try to throw him on a slant when he's sitting inside, or throw him on an in cut when he's back in end zone. I think stuff like that it gives him good work, and I think when the season comes, it's going to help out.
Dan was joking about the 4 interceptions and sort of how did you view that day? And is that obviously at this time of year, you testing things out, trying things out?
I think there's a balance between trying things out and turning the football over. I think going back to that day at deep one, Gonzo fell off. We had I'm not getting football, but Gonzo fell off. Gonzo made a good play. The other one, they bring cover zero, and just got to have cover zero answers in this league. So I had to learn with that one. I don't remember. I think Hunter got held on one. So take that stuff with a grain of salt. But at the same time, you don't want to turn the football over, so getting in bad habits. So I feel like I've done a good job of trying to keep the football in our hands, and that's one of our key focuses. So.
And now, great moments in history.
Anybody under the age of 35, their parents just have no idea how to respond, right? It's the burden that like a 30-year-old has to deal with, looking forward to a weekend at my parents' house where I have to explain that my
Right.
husband, he does actually have a job, but he works on the internet. They don't know what the internet is because, I don't know how these people who, somehow put me through college and supported me in everything I did in my life.
Right.
I don't know how.
And I live in South Boston, and my parents pay for my rent. And this
I don't know
whole
how
thing.
these two rubes managed to put me through college and put a roof over my head and make sure that I had everything I wanted in life. But now I have to go through the exhaustion of explaining to them what I actually do for a living. Like, that's my other favorite Twitter rant. And there was a lot of that over the weekend.
I promise I didn't plan this with Paul. This is,
Paul gets very upset about this.
No,
But I get that.
You can light a match and just wind me up and let me go. I mean,
That's another great moment from
All right, back here in Patriots Unfiltered, 855.
I can't. I just can't.
I can't even get the number
out. It is one of my pet peeves.
855 PATS 500 is the hotline. Podcasts at patriots.com is the email address. Newsletter coming out tomorrow.
Sure
right?
is.
Big one. Oh, I still haven't answered your
It
question.
is a big one.
Until
Oh,
we get to
speaking
that.
of-
That's very unlike you. You
I
usually
know.
respond to
Very
all
excited
immediately.
about this one.
I've had a busy morning.
This is a good one. But speaking of the newsletter, last week's, I briefly was talking to Paul about the newsletter this morning, and I mentioned last week's, which literally was a Paul appreciation newsletter in honor of his birthday.
Yeah.
And he had no clue. He didn't read it.
I didn't see last
So all the
week's.
nice things we
'Cause
said, he doesn't know.
I think I left early last Friday, and I don't think I ever read it.
Yeah, that's
probably
too bad.
honest.
I wasted
You don't
all
like
that.
nice things.
Yeah,
Those
we
nice
say
words.
really nice things about
know.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, we were forced to, but
Do I
It was
have-
solicited.
Gun to head.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you want to get
I'll
this
go back
week's
and check
newsletter and all the newsletters in the future, you can do that by signing up on patriots.com/PU newsletter. You want to do that.
I feel great about my responses this week. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I won one of the questions.
Well, you and
how can you win?
you
one?
and Fred
Well, you'll
should
see.
win this, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
I don't
think
even know
Fred-
what the question is
I think
yet.
Fred will appreciate my response
Okay.
to one of the things.
Fred will appreciate the line of questioning.
Yeah.
He hasn't
Yeah.
seen it
Yeah.
yet.
I had fun
It's a lot of-
responding to
I
these
feel
questions.
strongly about mine, too. I have
All right.
a lot of...
I don't feel overly strong about
Go
mine.
toe to toe.
You can skip over. You can gloss over
I
mine
feel a
this
little bit
weekend.
of... Well, you had good ones that I agreed with on some.
All right.
If you know, you know, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to miss it. Patriots.com/PU newsletter. That's how you sign up. So, Wendell in Pennsylvania. I mentioned we might talk about some off-season stuff.
Mr. Wendell.
He said, now that the dog days of the NFL calendar start... Oof.
Oh.
That was a
Euro?
good Euro.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Allow me to kick off lawn care talk this season.
Lawn
All
care.
right, I'll just get up and walk out.
I went to college for
go.
turf management.
Let's go.
And I've
Okay.
worked in golf and sports turf for the past 15 years. I once heard Paul say he mows his lawn, he will mow a pass, and then turn around and come back on the same stripe.
I have said that.
I've heard him correctly. If I heard him correctly, that is a mowing technique known as backtrack mowing.
And you shouldn't do it?
It's one way to go about getting a double cut. I had to laugh because it's pretty rare to do that. Generally, if you're going to go through the trouble of double cutting, you would do it in two different directions to get a nice pattern like a checkerboard or diamond cut. I have to know what inspired Paul to do this.
I don't know if I'm doing what he
So you
has
you
interpreted.
go over a strip and then you turn around and you come back on the same strip.
Well, I would just go usually backwards.
Oh, backwards?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, why would you do that? You walk backwards the whole strip?
No. he
Well, I
turns
don't
and
have
he-
a big
and he
yard.
pulls
I don't live in a mansion like you.
I know, but that seems kind of weird. That's weird.
That's weird, Paul.
Yeah, that is weird.
That's okay.
Why do you do
You
that?
do you, Paul. Don't listen to
Like,
that.
yeah, what said?
Because
This
I
is
don't
what I'm
have.
gonna do. What,
so, all right, in the front in particular, right, I have two patches of grass in my front yard.
Yeah.
Right, separated by a walkway to my front door.
okay.
It leads to, like, mulch beds on both sides.
Yeah.
So I go to the edge of the mulch, like, if I wouldn't really have any room to turn my mower
see,
around.
here's your mistake. I'll tell you where you're going.
Let me tell you what you did wrong.
Get one of those 360 mowers
He's like
that-
Dirk Diggler over
No,
here.
I know.
Let me show you what you
no,
did wrong.
I know exactly what you're saying. You do your border first. You create a border so you have room to turn around. You do a border.
I really wouldn't. It wouldn't be worth it to do
Okay.
that. But
so it's better to just walk backwards. Okay, all right.
Have you guys seen the video?
Unless you're telling me it's damaging to the lawn,
No,
it's better to go backwards.
I'm waiting for you to trip.
Redundant, I think.
Why would I trip?
Because you're walking backwards.
No, he's turning and pulling. He's turning and pull. He's going to turn and.
Oh, you're
turn
pulling
and
it
pull.
from behind?
No, I just walk backwards. It's really not that hard.
All right.
Like
Really?
my
It's
unless
good
my
for your knees, though, right?
my equilibrium is not like imbalanced. I mean, it's not that hard to
Your
walk
patellar
like
tendons appreciate it.
10. We're
Now,
talking
is this
small
a,
yard.
Is this a self-propel push mower, or do you have to
No, it's self-propelled.
self-propel?
Yeah.
Your damn
Okay.
self.
But it is a push mower. It's not. I
Yeah.
don't have like
Yeah.
a ride on.
Right.
A little juice.
Have you guys seen the video of it's like a Roomba lawnmower?
I have.
It doesn't look like it does a very good job.
No.
Well,
But
plus I
I'm
kind of
surprised.
enjoy.
I'm skeptical too, but I'm surprised that hasn't already been a thing.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm skeptical, but I also enjoy mowing the lawn.
I do too. You know what I need
It's
to
a
get?
sneaky,
A lawn lute.
A what?
A lawn lute.
What's
You know
that?
what that is? So it's like a big flat thing that like flattens out your lawn. So I have a lot of patchy grass. It's been a long process for me. So I need the thing to like flatten it out and fill in the gaps of the grass. So
My neighbor has it. It makes your yard look like you have a carpet, and you push the nap one way and then the nap the other way.
That's my
and you
dream.
get those nice
Does that
patches
attach
on.
to the mower?
No,
or-
no. It's
like
just
I'm
it's
envisioning like a
long
golf
stick.
course
It's like a long
mower.
stick with just like almost different levels. So when you push it over the dirt, it spreads it out, but it keeps it flat, and then you can pack it down. And so you got to get the sand, and I'd ask our friend the emailer about like what's the sand soil mix, because you should do a sand soil mix so you can spread it and then get it flat. I've thought a lot about this. This fall, going for it, because you can't plant grass right now. You got to wait till either early spring, fall. Go fall.
I mean, you can plant grass now, but you just got to water.
Yeah, and I don't have irrigation, so I just I like to do it the low maintenance, low and slow, and I just mow the weeds and pull them in again. So it's a process.
Okay.
That's basically like the whole length.
Oh.
So like,
okay,
turning around would take more time
like
than
10
just
feet.
walking. Right. It's. I mean, as you can see.
So I have a bathroom mat
Actually, don't
bigger
need
than
to have
his
those
lawn.
prom pictures on there.
Like I stand on a bathroom mat that's bigger than his lawn. So-
Yes.
Okay.
Again, I'm not
Hence
rich.
the mansion.
It's not a matter of being rich.
The Cape Cod mansion.
The Cape Cod manse.
It's big enough to be a lawn, though. It's not a patch. It's a lawn, right? Like,
The
it's
Kirsch
just
Manor.
A patch of grass.
I'm not sure if it's big enough to be a lawn.
It might just be a patch.
Yeah. I've seen people's toupees that
Well,
are bigger
the
than that.
back is bigger, and on the back I do turn around.
Right.
Okay. You
And
turn
I go.
around.
Yeah.
So I walk forward.
For the
You
grotto.
create the border, Paul.
Yeah.
Just
I
go
don't-
around one.
So what I do is, I said doo-doo. I get the edger out first and go around and get, all the up against the fence,
Yeah.
around the fire pit, around the pool.
Okay. You do that first.
I do that.
Most people do that last.
I do that once a month.
Okay.
Do you-
All right.
do you
I don't
do
do that every time I mow.
Weed whack edging too a little bit, or
Yeah,
That's what he just
that's
said.
the
Oh,
edger.
sorry.
Yeah, I
didn't
gotta
listen.
get
Thanks for
that
listening.
weed
Good.
whacker.
Something like
Alex, I'm going to need Mike to listen.
I don't usually drop the ball.
He's
like
not
that.
paying
See,
attention.
here's where I'm with Paul. If you do the weed whacking first, then your lawnmower will pick up all those clippings.
Correct.
True. Good point.
Ooh,
Good
man.
point.
tip.
True.
Pro
True.
tip.
True.
That's pretty
True.
good right there.
Good point.
Evan, take notes.
Yeah,
Gonna go mow my lawn after this.
Evan's going to be an expert lawnmower when he does, because he's going to figure out everything that everybody does, and then figure out.
And
Okay,
then
that's
probably never have a lawn to mow.
You and Jess are never gonna move to the burbs.
It's like,
Maybe someday.
so like
Yeah,
Jess,
I
I need a
told you.
camera up on top of the house so I can get the full view of
The
the
all
lawn,
22, the
so I know
lawnmower.
what order to mow it and what technique I need to use.
Fred,
Right?
all
Zero
told,
technique,
it takes me about an hour, not even an hour. Like that's how small my lawn is.
That still sounds pretty long.
That's
Well,
For
I'm-
that, it
I'm-
takes you an hour.
I'm a little. That's you're just seeing the front. The back
Oh,
is
well,
bigger.
he's doing it twice, so he's right. It should be a half
So
an hour.
actually,
Right.
I'm much more interested, rather than your nonsensical criticisms. I'm more interested
Nonsensical.
in the email of the turf expert. Is that bad? Like, is that bad for the lawn?
Oh, I don't think he said it is.
No, but that's what I'm wondering.
He's just wondering what's
like
your
he said, it's called like a
inspiration.
double cut.
Yeah.
Like, is that bad? Is it too? Am I cutting it too low as a result of that?
It's like when you shave too hard and it
Yeah.
cuts your neck.
You go against the grain.
Yeah,
you know,
and
it's
you're
like,
like,
what are we
"Ah,
animals?
Damn.
Yeah. No
That
wonder
I
it
know.
takes you an hour. You're doing every piece
Well,
twice.
I'm kind of meticulous.
Yeah.
So you can just you probably have a ride-on mower though, right?
No, I don't.
He has
I have a
boy who
self-propel, but I
so
I
you
don't
just-
do my lawn
You
anymore.
contracts that out.
You do one swath. Like, do you just go down and it's cut properly? Like, there's no
I go down
stragglers?
once, and
There's
then
no
I
stragglers?
No, and then you turn around and you overlap. So you do about 3 or 4 inches of the same. There you
go.
Coming
So there's
back.
no stragglers in the middle?
Holidays,
not on his
as
watch.
Andy would call them.
Holidays, is that what he used to call them?
Sometimes
Like,
you have to.
these are serious
Yeah,
questions. I don't know
sometimes
if
you
I'm
miss.
wasting my time. I
No,
want to
no.
know.
Sometimes you miss, and you have to go and hit that. Yeah.
Because I told you, my neighbor, who is Sanford and Son, that lives next door, hell of a nice guy, makes fun of me all the time. So, like, for wasting my time.
Right.
And I always say, look at your line.
Right.
You should spend a little more
No,
time.
no. You can go back and forth. You just overlap on the last one.
I want to follow up from the expert, though. No offense. I like
When you turn around, line the wheels up with the previous wheel lining and move over a little. You're right, Fred. Overlap it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And you'll have perfect lines up and down the lawn.
And then it looks cool.
I have perfect lines up and down my
I'm
line.
telling you, but if you overlap the wheel lining, you're gonna catch every straggler. Like
And
I'm saying.
no, you won't.
No, you might miss one or
If
two.
you go down
and you go and
it's
hit
this
it.
length and then you're just overlapping, you're missing this. Like you could have a straggler in here. You
Yeah, I'm
see?
talking straight lines,
You
not
get
curvy
you get a
polygons.
seal here. seal
This
here.
is fascinating.
And so we keep
I
relating
do-
it to football.
I do every once in a while. I almost always go sidewalk to house in the front, but every once in a while I do switch it up.
Well, they do say it's good to change your patterns. You
I
shouldn't
change
do
the
this-
pattern so it
you
doesn't
should-
get worn.
Yeah, you shouldn't do the same pattern every.
Living life on the wild
But the reason
side
I don't
and
like to
you
go
change it up.
across is because it leaves a lot of grass clippings on the walkway, and
Right, well,
now the cleanup is
You don't
involved.
blow? Do you blow?
I'm sorry, what?
When you do your lines horizontal, you can't look out the window at how good your lines look. You can't see them. You know, that's why I like when I get to cut my grass vertically.
Lori from Henniker, New Hampshire, says she does the same thing as Paul.
Thank
She
you.
goes forward and then walks backwards, especially now with all the rain and the lawn being so long. So
Yeah.
she does a double cut,
Yeah.
but she does it walking backwards. Most people, if they do a double cut, they turn around and come back.
So in the back, I do it
Right.
that way.
Yeah.
Because the back is much longer.
I might also, with the first cut, I might go up a little bit. I might go a little higher so we don't get jammage. And then if I know I'm going back over, I'll get down to 2 or 1. But I might do a first pass 3, 4, 5 even, if depending on how long it is. I'm just saying. that's
Well, if you
fine.
have a good mower, you don't have to go back.
I don't have a good mower.
Yeah. Do you sharpen your blade?
I have to.
Yeah,
I
that's you got to have a sharp blade.
My blade is
and you
all
got to make
dinged
this.
up.
You got to make sure the CCs are high. You don't want a low CC mower because.
No,
you
you
know.
don't want to get dry, especially the wet, the damp rain
Yeah.
gets all clogged up, and then it's a
terrible.
nightmare.
Yeah. All right.
I like cutting my grass.
I
Maybe
love
that's
it.
why I do the
love it.
double.
I love it. It's so satisfying. No one bugs you. You
Earth,
go
Wind, and
outside,
Fire.
put a little music on.
Commodores.
This is why you like it.
You're
It's
lining
'cause
up things.
Nobody bugs you.
You're
is really
outside.
the key there.
Dad'll be outside mowing the lawn. Don't bug me.
Why don't you make the
Favorite.
kids do that? No. Don't worry about it. No.
It's your
I
therapy.
got it.
I got it.
That was my job when I was little. I had to mow the lawn. That was one.
So now that one, I had a tiny in Everett.
Yeah.
I actually used to cut it with an electric mower.
A tree grows in Everett.
I used to cut it with an electric mower, and I used to run over the extension cords all the time. I was always
This explains a lot.
Dad, we need a new extension cord.
He's getting whacked in the back of the head like Morel. Camille in Georgia reminds us, I announced at the beginning of the show, but I'll do it again. The Tom Brady statue unveiling is August 8th, prior to the Commanders preseason game.
I was just gonna say, if you're a Patriots fan looking to make a trip up here, you know, you have the joint practice with the Commanders. That's a great get. You can come to the Tom Brady statue. You could go to the preseason game. You could make a whole
And then
week
go to
out
the
of it.
Cape.
A lot going on, and then go to the Cape.
It's
You'll
a
know
good-
where to go after
good,
the
good
newsletter.
shout, Deuce. That's a
Yeah.
good week.
Yeah, a
It
lot-
doesn't really get much more. Like you're not going to get many more events than that. Like a practice.
And,
you-
and I mean,
statue.
honestly, like I'd say, you don't even have to go to the preseason game. Like you're gonna get plenty of action in the joint practice with Jaden Daniels and
I love
Fat
going to the
Debo. Did you guys see that
preseason games.
footage? I saw some footage of Fat Debo running around yesterday. It
Looks
seemed
a
like
little
they were
chubby.
like, woof.
So I just want to reiterate that Mike Dussault is suggesting that everybody does all of these events during the course of the week, and you want to accentuate the ones that don't cost any money, and the one that you actually have to pay.
right.
You know, as an organization, we benefit financially from.
Times are tough.
You might want to skip that.
All right,
one.
well,
We
you
do
know,
not benefit.
buy some
financially.
concessions. Buy some.
I said the
concessions.
organization benefits.
Yeah.
There'll probably be some Brady swag you can buy
Yeah.
at the pro shop, but if you just want to watch a joint practice and a Hall of Fame induction,
Joint practices are the best take, I think, that are available.
no question.
It's free. you're up close and personal, and you get a chance to see 2 NFL teams go at it.
Yeah,
I think it's the best take there is.
Yeah.
Joint practice.
A lot more electricity.
Oh, yeah.
Excitement.
I mean, that
because
Eagles won last year.
the players have more juice. They're showing off.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's why you end up getting more fights. You know. Travis in West Virginia, a little get off my lawn email, not mowing it, but just boomer stuff. He says people used to say same here, but now they just say same. It sounds dumb. Maybe okay for texting, but not for speaking. Okay.
Wow.
He just thought he would write in and tell
I
us.
do
What if you
like
say retweet?
I do like the randomness of that email.
Yeah, that's why I put my hand. I was like, when did we do that?
Same.
Same.
Retweet.
There's another one, Fred. I think I've heard you say this in the past. Like you notice when you thank somebody.
Yeah.
What do they say?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
Oh, my son gets so mad at me when I complain about that because we'll be at a restaurant. I was like, see? They said, of course.
Everybody says
What's
it.
the problem with that? You have to evolve.
See, that's why we get this boomer thing
And then
where
I
they
get,
make
it's
fun of
not
us.
a matter of evolving, it's a matter of being polite.
Yeah. It's like it's not necessarily like a boomer thing. Like we always get made
Right.
fun of. Like we get it. That's what a lot of people say that now. Why?
Right.
Is the question. And it doesn't bother me. It's just like, how did that?
But is
all
it
of a sudden-
impolite to you?
It is.
No,
well,
it's not impolite to me.
to me, it's you didn't acknowledge my thanking you. You said, of course. Of course what?
Of course I did that for you.
Right. Of
No
course
problem.
I did that. Well,
That's
right.
how I take it. That's
Right.
why
Yeah.
I don't take it as being
Like when you
impolite.
go
But
to
Fred
the
takes it
wait-
as,
I know.
Of course you're thanking me for
know
doing
your-
that for you.
Right. I know your job is to do what you just did, but I'd like to thank you anyway.
And they say, yeah, of course. Like,
So-
I'm the
so-
waiter. I'm going to get you
so
a straw.
the
Like,
idea
that's
of-
my job.
This is your welcome. You feel better if they were like, this is your welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. What about no worries?
I don't mind no worries.
No
Because
worries.
I've had people
I
get
say
on
no
me
worries
for
a
saying
lot.
no
what,
worries or
as
no
a response
problem.
to thank you?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not correct.
No
I
worries.
do the no worries every once in a while.
Yeah.
So,
No worries.
hey, thanks
Which
for.
is really like saying, don't worry, I'm not pissed
Yeah,
off about having
I'm
to do
not
it.
worrying about it. I just wanted to thank you. I'm not worried.
Don't be
I
worried.
knew
I'm
this
not mad
was one
about
that
it.
What
I
about-
thought I remembered you going.
What about
on
my
about that.
pleasure?
My pleasure.
It was-
That's
Thank you.
okay.
It was my
pleasure.
Pleasure is
That's a good one. I like
That's
that.
probably even better than
That's
your
nice.
Okay.
welcome. I think it makes more sense than your welcome.
It was
I-
my
Well, it was
pleasure.
that
That
to
one
thank
is.
you.
I did something for you. You thanked me. Not only am I going to acknowledge you thanking
was
me,
my
I'm going to tell you that I was
I
pleased
enjoyed it.
to do it.
right.
All right,
I don't believe
that's
it,
fine.
though. Like, I don't believe you were pleased to do it.
The of
So,
course thing though
I'm
is
buying
kind of
it.
odd.
Of
I don't
course.
find it impolite. I understand it. You're saying you're welcome. That's how I take it. I just think it's odd that it's sort of
And
morphed into.
I noticed,
of
and
course.
this is probably about a decade ago, a lot of the bros started doing this.
What's up?
Hey, how you doing? Doing well. And they would say it just like that, doing well. It was a college bro thing.
Doing well.
Well, it's incorrect to say I'm good.
I know.
You say
yeah,
well.
but
You
I mean,
modify
there's a lot
verbs
of
with
things that are
adverbs.
grammatically incorrect that are acceptable, and that's one.
So
of
what
them.
would you prefer?
It's just the way they
Fine,
say
thanks.
Okay.
it. It's doing well.
They want to show they're literate.
Yeah.
Do you have to
Despite
like,
their appearance
use like
of being
a
a
baritone
bro,
voice?
they're
Would you do it as well?
Yes.
Like it
That's
has
how
to
they-
come from the diaphragm.
That's how they would do it. Yeah.
I'm
It was
well.
a
How
very
are you?
bro thing.
bro
I don't remember that culture.
Yeah.
That was.
You weren't a bro.
Yeah. Well, you were in the middle of being embarrassed, so I don't know what what was
You
going
spent
through
your
your head.
entire
You had a lot
adolescence
of social
embarrassed.
anxiety.
General state of embarrassment.
Small town kid.
Just a small town
Small
kid.
town boy on a
It
Saturday
wasn't
night.
exactly, you know, in
Midnight
the best
tea.
physique back then.
Back
He
then?
was a, you know,
All right.
physically not, you know.
Hey,
JetBlue
can I
flight
bring up
rolled
one of-
onto the grass
Yeah.
You
today.
played
Yeah,
sports. They didn't have you guys in shape.
Yeah, certain shapes.
Did you have to
All shapes and
run to
sizes.
make the team?
Barely.
Really?
As little as possible.
Oh man.
Any thoughts from the crew on Brian Wilson's passing? Music legend. We do talk a little music here. That
I didn't know he was still alive,
he
but
just-
you know, R.I.P.
That's a tough one though.
Yeah.
That's a
He's special.
Oh, the Beach Boys.
like the Beach Boys or not. I do, but
Yeah.
if you don't, I get. But you have to recognize.
Oh, the
sort of-
greatness.
Yeah.
The greatness.
I love that Full House
Impact.
episode.
Yeah.
My dad had this album, Spirit of America, which was a random thing, but I just remember listening to that over and over, like that album and a lot of Beach Boys music. Like
I read a comment on
huge
Twitter
music on
yesterday, and I don't remember who did it, and it was much more articulate than what I'm going to recap, but just sort of he made you want to be in California.
Yeah, right.
Like just the way he put together music and sang of the West Coast made you want to be in California.
Yeah, no.
And I think that's an
I
enormous
totally agree.
compliment.
That's why I think I went to California and married a California girl.
Because of Brian
Because of
Wilson.
the Beach
No,
Boys. I mean, I loved
we've come
California
full
Girls
circle.
when I was a kid. This was one of my favorite songs. So I don't know, subconscious.
Elle in Wisconsin says, saying of course means of course I did that for you, similarly to no problem, indicating that doing the thing wasn't a problem. Your welcome makes it seem like the ask was a bigger lift. I think both are actually more polite than saying you're welcome. I completely disagree.
I see what she's saying about the bigger lift, though. I'd see that.
No, I'm saying that I'm saying what you did was a big lift, and I appreciate it. And okay,
I'm gonna like jump on this whole, and I don't know if Elle meant it this way or not, but in continuing with the bashing of the older generation, like Fred and I,
Very easy.
when we say these things and don't understand where of course came from, we're not telling you that we don't understand what it means. Like I get, like I'm not a moron. I get from context what you're saying.
Right.
Like
of course, does that mean he likes me?
Right. What does he mean by that?
Right.
Like I get it. He's saying you're welcome. I understand it. He's telling you that it wasn't a big deal. That I'm happy to do all those things. Like we don't need to have it explained to us. I want the explanation to be
Where did it come from?
it start? And how did it? How,
Like,
how did it?
was it
how
a
did
movie? A
stick?
lot of the stuff comes from songs these days, or it always did.
Oh,
Or
that's
pop
true.
culture.
That's definitely true.
But like, where did of course come from?
Maybe like hospitality.
Right,
Because, like,
okay, but
it's my job, of course,
Right.
to be
It
an
was
origin.
of the course that I do.
I agree with Elle. I think that the origin is like, it's like you're like the person is showing like how like they're.
It was not a problem. I'm unfazed by helping
like
you.
I'm happy to do it.
But how was
you
your
know?
welcome not saying
Like,
that same
of course
thing?
I did it. No, I know. It's your job to do it.
No,
I
but
get
you
it.
said that it makes it sound like it's a big lift. Like, oh yeah, you're welcome. Like I had to go do that for you. But of course,
it does
it's like
not.
oh, yeah.
Your welcome does not make it sound like it was a big.
I
deal.
Well, you
understand
can
what Elle's
say
saying.
you're welcome
Team L.
sarcastic. Like, have you ever held the door open for someone and they just waltz through and you're like, you're welcome?
That's different. Now that's Paul.
You can't
that's
say
Paul Snark.
no
that's a whole
worries
different thing.
because that doesn't make any sense. You have to say you're welcome.
That
Oh,
happens.
I would absolutely say.
You wouldn't say, of course.
No worries.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Of course. Yeah. I would say, but you say that in a mocking tone to let
Right.
the person know, like, hey, I just did
But it
something
only
for you. It would have
works
been nice
to
of
say
you.
you're
to know.
I think that point, Alex, proves that I'm right. Like, you wouldn't sarcastically to show somebody that didn't open the door by saying no worries or no problem. You would say, you're welcome or my pleasure.
No worries.
To show, right.
I've got worries because you just walked through the door without thanking me, and I'm worried about it.
So I think you just proved my
Well,
point.
what you're saying though, the sarcastic, you're like, here everybody's rude, right? So that I do that constantly because no one says thank you anymore.
Yeah.
Like you hold the door, and especially in Boston,
If-
like that.
if
in
there's
the
People
city.
generally say
doors-
thank you if you hold a door, but how many times do you walk by someone and they're like, hey, how you doing? And they just like walk.
I mean, people are.
And I always go, good, thanks.
This is one.
It's better
Boston
to be the
stereotype that's
person that
true. We're
smiles and says hello and doesn't get one back than to be the one that doesn't smile back.
That's my philosophy.
But if I'm
I don't
holding
think
the
it's hard
door-
to be a human being.
If I'm holding the door for someone and it's like a double door situation and you don't say thank you the first time, the second time I'm letting that slam.
Well,
in your face.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Angry Alex.
I know I do it all the time too, but
It's a
I
principle.
think that people should stop in passing, ask the question, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Because
how are
what's
ya?
the point?
That's above and beyond.
You're not going to stop and like find out. So you should just say, hey, how
Hello.
hello or whatever.
Well,
but how you're doing means
you
like
got?
I want to know
So
how you're doing.
if
I
you-
really don't.
If
I'm
you know
passing.
somebody or if you don't know somebody.
I said
Like, to
in
me,
passing. In
But
passing.
so you
Okay.
but you don't know the person you pass. Like in
Either
this
way.
building, there's a lot of people that work here that I don't know.
Right, but either way, like if
But I would
pass
never
you-
walk by someone and not acknowledge that I'm walking by.
Oh
someone.
no, I always do that. I'm saying the acknowledgement shouldn't in passing shouldn't be how are you doing?
As an example, maybe Bill Belichick.
Yeah, right. You know, like what's the point of asking somebody how they're doing if you're not going to stop and find out?
Yeah.
Right?
You're like,
Am I right there or no?
yeah, you're okay
All
with
right.
that.
If it's
You're
somebody
right.
you
It's
know,
better
I
than
would
the-
I would
than the
absolutely
of
stop and
course.
say how you doing.
Oh yeah,
because I care.
No,
I
if you're
wanna-
going to
you know.
stop, then that's fine. I'm saying in passing, I don't think that's the right acknowledgement.
Right. Well, but yet when people call in here and they're like, "How you doing, Paul?" You'll be like,
Meh.
I mean, that's pretty.
It's a little different on the
No.
radio.
He's just being honest.
Well, usually it is. Like, I don't have two nickels
But you know, like
together.
if someone like
my car's still in the
if someone passed you and like, hey, how you doing? And you say, oh, let me tell you how. They'd be like, well, I gotta go. You know, I really didn't want to know. I was just saying that.
Yeah,
you know,
That's hello.
That's true.
That's why you guys make fun of me, but I'm a big hello.
Hey,
I
good
say
to,
hello
good
all
to
the
see
time.
you.
I don't make fun of you.
No, but that's
for
my
being
thing,
polite.
right? Like like
Yes,
that's
you
what I
say
say
hello.
to people when I go because there's a lot of like long hallways and you see someone's coming out.
Oh,
the
yeah.
hall.
Well, if
I
it's
don't know.
long enough,
take
you
out the
can say,
phone.
hey, how are ya?
Do I look?
How many times does someone
If it's
do that?
really long,
Oh, yeah.
a really long hallway, you can say, hey, how are you? Because there's enough time to
But
say,
how
like,
many
"Good,
times
you?
does someone, when you're in that situation, rip out the phone and
Right,
pretend
right.
they're looking at
Yeah.
the phone? It annoys me.
See,
Like, it's not that hard to be a human being.
I think the head nod is fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything. Just,
well, that's
you know,
like, that's,
just a,
hey,
you know, hey,
how are you?
yeah, that's fine.
That's
I'm
why
big on the head nod. I don't really want to talk to people.
Yeah.
So
If I
it's
don't
just
know
like,
them, I'm just going to say, hey,
well,
how you
hey,
doing?
Yeah.
That's why.
Now the problem with the head nod is, did they see it?
Oh.
Well, I
Did
usually
they see
try
the
to
head
make
nod?
I try to make
So
eye
now,
contact.
are
And
they
now we've
wa-
turned it into a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
So now are they
This whole
walking
thing
by
is
and say, oh, you didn't do anything? Well, I gave you the head nod.
No, that's why I lock onto the person and I stare
Right?
at
It's
them.
Larry David. His whole life is Larry David.
This is very Curb Your Enthusiasm,
I
but
just like a good morning.
But he's not George.
I say hello. I lock
morning.
on for the whole distance we're walking towards each other, and I have a big dumb smile on my face, and I just stare at
You
them.
do have a big dumb smile.
And then I wait for them to look at me, and I say,
he's a
hello.
Labrador Retriever.
Hello.
I mean, we spend a good amount of time with each other, but what's the first? Mike and I are the first two in every day.
Yeah.
And if he's in first, I always like, Mick, and if I'm in first, hello. Hello. And then we debrief on, the randomness of watching like the Bilo commercial from the night before.
We have a pizza.
Something stupid.
Bilo. Shout out the Bilos. I don't know what that is.
Pascal.
Stupid commercial.
Pascal writes in.
Maybe Richie.
He says, the last time I wrote in, I found out that something I thought I had done for over a decade with 100% effectiveness, which is squeezing the soap sliver into the new soap, actually doesn't work. Thank you, Fred, for the truthiness. Over the last week or so, I've gone to daily meetings with my therapist to deal with what I was scared was my own delusions and thinking was actually something that worked. In the end, I decided to take a couple pictures a few days apart to see if I was secretly going insane. Turns out, no, I'm not insane. It really has worked for me 100% of the time for over a decade. Maybe, Fred, you should figure out why you're unable to do something so seemingly simple as squeezing two pieces of soap together. And he does send a picture of the soap squeezed into. So I don't know what kind of soap you're using,
like
but
Irish Spring, maybe?
yeah, I don't.
It looks like it could be Irish Spring. Irish Spring.
Information.
It,
Top of the morning to you.
I'm telling you, I've tried that and they still come apart.
Well, maybe you're not doing it right.
Fred like,
come on. Yeah, so maybe your
Fred,
brand.
you think this guy took the picture in the shower? That soap is soapy.
Yeah.
Let's just leave your soap stuff up to yourself. Like, that's a private conversation.
No worries.
I don't need to think about it.
Of course.
You're welcome.
Of course.
My pleasure.
I told you we're going to have a little fun. Justin writes in, what's everyone's thoughts on wearing a cap indoors? I know the courtesy of taking it off at dinner, but some folks find it disrespectful when wearing it inside any building. What's your opinion?
People find that disrespectful?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, we work in sports.
Like, if you were in a
lot
restaurant
of-
back in the day, you would not wear a hat.
Oh.
Ever.
Yeah.
So I do
Ever.
not.
I'm
To
glad
this
that's-
day, I do not eat with a
there's
hat
a lot
on.
of restaurants that don't let you in with a hat.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to 2 of them last weekend.
Eating, I do not.
Was Nick
I
wearing a
would
hat
agree,
backwards?
but I don't
No.
think it's
I don't
like if I came to
I've never
work
been
and
to
I
a
was on
restaurant
like
where
on the
people are
radio
mad
right now
about
with a
that.
hat on.
Yeah.
I don't think that's disrespectful.
Yeah. Like, we have a lot of,
Yeah.
there's certain people who cover the Patriots in the press box who consist on wearing a ball cap while they're working.
Well, the problem that I would have is, like, if you wear a hat, then you get hat head, and then if I have to take it off, then my hair's gonna look ridiculous.
Right, so once it's on, it's on.
Or
You can't take it off.
right, like I make that decision in the morning. Is this a hat day or is this not a hat day? And then once it's a hat day,
No hat at the dinner table was a big one for
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Take your
for
hat
Ginger. My mother would not allow us to wear hats at the dinner table, and that has always stuck with me. And I don't care if it's a restaurant that's fancy. Well, I mean, I wouldn't go to a fancy restaurant with a hat on in the first place, but I always take even training camp, when we sit down, I usually put my hat on my knee.
I
and
love a restaurant with a dress code.
I don't even put it on the table. I think
I
it's
went
rude
to a
put hat on
restaurant
the
this
table.
weekend that was like went beyond the dress code. They were like, if you have small children, maybe leave them at home. I was like, hell yeah.
Here?
No, Montauk.
Okay.
Montauk.
Yeah.
And it was a
Maybe.
McDonald's.
Striper on
The only,
Montauk.
the only places that have dress codes
It's
that,
your
that are
piano
like
wire.
Vegas or
Don't you be
like
telling my
Montauk.
business again.
Vegas has a
Gotta
lot
do
of
it.
dress code restaurants too.
Now, back
No
in the day in
shorts, things like
church,
that.
if you're a man,
Oh.
you could not wear a hat. But if you're a woman, you had to wear a hat.
A bonnet or something.
Well, that's before my
Yeah, that's
time.
true. It's like a woman with a cute little, like, not quite Kentucky Derby hat,
Yeah,
but
sometimes it looked like a napkin for
Yeah.
crying out loud. But they had to have something on their head. It was
That's
weird.
that's definitely before my
I
time.
was at a
like a little Jackie O hat.
I was at something recently, a Jewish thing, and the synagogue still separated men from women.
Really?
And I was like,
So,
guys,
Orthodox?
like we need to work on this. Like
Yeah.
this is not like, come on, like what are we doing? Like
Yeah.
I
like
never. Yeah. I
the
don't.
women were like up in the balcony. I was like no,
Yeah, we
this
had-
is not okay.
When I lived in
Like,
LA, we lived in the middle of a
2025.
very large Orthodox Jewish population, and they
Yeah,
were, you know,
it's-
they had the full like fur hats and the
Yeah.
outfits, and it's
well, those are like different. Yeah.
yeah. They had. I remember they had a concert in the neighborhood, and they had all the men were to one side, all the women were to another side. It was,
That's weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was Orthodox temples are segregated
Yeah.
by gender.
Oh, I remember the first time I went to, a synagogue that had Orthodox, people in it, and it was like,
Yeah.
the bowing and the whole
yeah.
thing. It was,
They got crazy costumes, and I mean, the costume. I don't know
Yeah.
what they're called, but every
No.
Saturday morning you'd see everybody dressed
Yeah,
up.
you don't see a ton of those types of Jews anymore.
Yeah.
To be honest with
Well,
you,
it was a very
but
contained
there are.
section of like Third and La Brea.
well, there was
where we
one
lived.
guy, and like he was kind of making a scene, like doing his own prayer, and I asked somebody, like, is that? He says you're not supposed to do that.
Well, it depends. Like
Yeah.
like certain prayers, like there's bowing or.
Oh
like,
yeah, no,
up
but
to
this
the-
guy was like
all-
doing his
yeah.
own service for himself.
Yeah. No, it depends on what
Yeah.
what part of the ceremony it is, or if it's
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Claire writes in, Chicago Pope continued, she says.
Hey, girl.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Maureen.
Hey, girl.
Wanted to call in, but I couldn't, so I've been thinking about this. Fred, you would need to play the Pope character. Deuce is that handsome, smart, but snarky sidekick who is a lower-level clergyman. With all due respect, Evan is a guest star rabbi with exceptional analytical skills that they bring in for extra help on tricky cases.
Would never be a
Or he could be like the forensic nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rabbi was never on my radar.
Alex is super pretty, but I think casting her as the hot nun would
Thank
be
God.
inappropriate. I think Alex
God.
and Paul would have to be Chicago cops, partners who work with Pope and Deuce. And Maureen would be the
Like
tech
Stabler
guy,
and
the super
Benson.
cool techie, hacker kind of guy that works with Alex and Paul at Chicago PD, but moonlights in the Pope cases.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't
Yeah.
want to be the sidekick. I want to be.
You want the leading role?
I'm like a cleaner. I'm like the guy you call when you got a problem. But
Harvey
they call me
Keitel.
the altar boy. Yeah, they're like call
The altar boy.
Bring the altar boy in, and then I come in and what do we got here? All right,
So you're the wolf.
yeah.
Claire's gonna need like a co-writer credit on this.
I like it.
The
She's
altar
had a
boy,
lot of
yeah.
ideas.
It's my code name. I do the dirty jobs. That's so Father Fred can keep his hands clean. I'm not breaking
Oh.
any commandments or
Do
anything.
you bring them to like a
Whatever needs to be done, Evan. Whatever needs to be done.
like a trash compactor type
Sure,
thing?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Whatever needs to be done, just make sure you go to confession next week.
And then you go in and you're like, well, yeah, kill it, yeah, blah, 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 blah.
So how does it work when the Pope tells you to do whatever you had to do? Then you go to see the Pope to absolve you of your sins.
Exactly. That's the scam, Paul. That's how it works. It's like, go kill these people. What'd you do? You killed
So now I'm
people?
also
Forgive us,
unclear.
man.
Alex and I, as Stabler and Benson,
Yes.
are we looking for
You wanna be
improprieties here,
Yeah.
or are we
Oh, yeah. No,
looking
it's-
to make sure that we keep them
Well,
out of harm's way?
Father Fred does
What's
whatever
our
needs
role?
to be done. That's the conflict that you guys have, because Father Fred's doing good for the city, but at the same time he's cutting some corners. He's
Like
using
it's
the
a
altar
little-
boy to do some things.
It's Chicago PD. It's like
Yeah.
Voight,
Right.
who is
Right.
constantly on that line,
Yeah.
straddling,
Yeah,
right?
we could put another level to it. Like maybe you're an atheist, and that's like another depth to your character. Like you don't buy all this stuff, that kind
Right.
of thing too.
Right.
Just another angle to it.
And there's certain moments in each season where Paul's character, the atheist, like maybe there is a God, but
Right.
then he goes back.
Character development.
Yeah.
And then like that last
And I-
scene is like Paul walking into church or something. That's like the very.
And I
final
go
of
to
the
see
series,
I go to
like,
see
yeah.
Fred, for counsel.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we're like really towing Chicago PD because I think that guy's a Scientologist.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You would not guess it, but I'm pretty sure he's a Scientologist.
Like the
He's a
actor.
he's a great
Yeah.
that guy's a great character.
He is.
What a great character.
His voice
Voight
is so good.
Yeah.
Your stories.
Nobody knows.
Keep digging.
Nobody knows network TV like Paul Perillo.
No,
That's what I
he's-
call
I-
it.
But you know what
I've never
that
seen
is.
Chicago PD.
Really?
Never.
Never once.
Never once. No.
The
Nope.
crossover episodes with
I watch a
SVU
lot
are
of streaming
really good.
stuff too, though. I don't.
I
just
know
watch
you
the
just
network
you
stuff.
watch a lot.
The
You're the
network-
king of the remote.
Oh, at night. That's it.
Blasting through Andor.
King of
by
the
the way.
Click,
That's excellent.
Andor? Oh,
Excellent.
yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm savoring that. It's
Yeah,
very good.
good stuff.
Too
Good
much.
stuff.
Oversaturation.
But it's
No,
easy on the Star Wars
no.
stuff. It's
It's
more about
different.
like
It's different.
the start of a revolution.
It's
is
different.
Really,
So you want to end it? No more Star Wars. That's it. It's over.
No,
Forget it.
there's none of the spin-offs. None
Well,
of
what
the
are they
TV
going to do?
shows.
Keep redoing what they've already
No,
done?
I
Evan's
just-
like, how can I
I'm
miss
out.
you if you never go away?
Yeah, I just.
No, I respect some of that, and I mean the 6, 7, 8, or what was it, 7, 8, 9? They totally.
I mean, it's just
but,
deplorable.
But I really like between Rogue One, Andor, and The Mandalorian. Those are great. Those are
I like
great
Boba
Star Wars.
Fett. I love the
Those
whole
Boba Fett was
backstory of
yeah,
Boba Fett.
Sure,
And I like the Acolyte too, and it didn't get renewed, but I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
couldn't get through that one.
Jeffrey in Canada writes in again, sorry for the two emails, but I had to weigh in on the phones at major events. I read research one time that said you should limit your phone at a major sporting event or concert. Just watch it with your eyes, and if it's memorable, your mind will remember it. That's its job. But if you watch the game through your phone, it's much less likely to create a core memory. I agree with that 100%.
I think that makes sense on.
So
the
take a few
surface.
pictures and videos and then put it away and enjoy. Phones are ruining us, he says as he types this on his phone.
Well, that's not why people do it, though. People are doing it so they can post it on their social
Clout.
media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to see Bill Burr at Fenway, and they make you put your phones in those little like lock pouches because it's a comedy show. It was awesome.
Yeah. No distraction.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming last night, though. I hadn't been to a concert in a while. Just the number of selfies, the number of like. It's just, I mean, I've been guilty of that too. I'd like
Do
to.
you want to see
sometimes
my
just
Barry
catch-
Manilows?
I like to just maybe catch a moment of something. Like I think during Brady night, I caught a couple just moments. But like the amount of people that are just. I'm recording this whole freaking
It's amazing
thing.
that
I'll watch
night.
it tomorrow.
Well, Evan's right. It's just for their social media.
Well, but it takes away from the other people's enjoyment. I honestly believe that. Like we
Yeah.
were at Kendrick Lamar, and like the people around us, like they're not paying attention to what's actually going on. They're just taking videos and selfies and all this kind of stuff, and it's like. I was really looking forward to this concert. So can you like stop like goofing off and like let me actually
Pay attention.
Yeah.
It's music.
Or you go to a game and this happens all the time with basketball because there's timeout and they set
Yeah.
up the moment. And so like you think that there's your anticipation of like a game-winning shot or something like that. So everybody's watching it with their phones out so that if like, Jason Tatum hits a buzzer beater, they can all go post it on all their social
See, that
media.
doesn't make any sense to me. That one. Like I get like you go to a game or you go to a concert, you take a picture, scene setter, not to steal Mike Reese's, but scene setter, picture, maybe maybe a selfie, but now watch.
Establishing shot.
What do you need to get the buzzer beater for that is going to be everywhere?
Right.
Like if Jason Tatum hits a buzzer beater, you're going to have that at your disposal any way you want.
Yeah. Do you think?
And by the way, it'll look better than what it does on your phone.
Correct.
Do you think it would have occurred to you if we were more into phones back in 2001 when Vinatieri was lining up that kick and you
God.
were in the end zone of like, would that be a moment that maybe you said,
No.
this would be kind of cool?
I would be so fixated on watching. I wouldn't think of even
because I don't
taking
do
my
it
phone
now.
out. Yeah.
I don't think to do it now, so I'm sure I wouldn't have done it then.
It's just funny for me
the
to think
light
about.
bulbs are cool though. Like
Yeah.
I'd kick off at the Super Bowl and like,
Yeah.
and that doesn't really happen as much anymore either.
Well,
Like,
it's just, I guess you guys have witnessed in person because you went to Super Bowls. So I've been told.
Many
iconic NFL moments, that you were right there for.
And I remember them.
Yeah,
I don't need to go like,
right.
what did that look like?
Right, right.
And you can say, well, what happens if someday you have dementia? Well, if I have dementia, I don't know how to use my phone either. So,
well,
but I understand like what he's saying about creating that core
Yeah, no, I
memory.
do too,
You
totally.
You have to see it.
Yeah.
You
This
know?
is
But it would also
100% for
be-
social media clout. It has nothing to do with
Right. Yeah.
remembering it or showing it.
Totally
and-
right.
Yeah.
But the perfect scenario is that your old age, you sit with your grandson, and you're like, I was right here for this iconic,
Right.
unforgettable NFL moment. Like, I think that, like, all right, I understand why someone would maybe want to have that recorded, but
Just
you
put
guys
in
don't
3
realize
games
it
to
when it
glory.
happens. Yeah,
You
no,
know?
I got all 6 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up close at J-Lo. I have pictures of that.
You didn't shoot any of the game.
Andrew has wants to chime in on a few subjects. He says Father Fred's take on responses to a thank you is an interesting conversation. I think any acknowledgement is absolutely acceptable, whereas
agree.
a lack of acknowledgement is impolite.
I agree.
Of course is a simplified, of course I would do that for you, happy to help. We know what it means.
Again,
Yeah.
don't need the explanation, and I agree that is perfectly fine. I'm curious as to the origins.
Right. Silicone
That's all.
loofahs are ideal for cutting down bacteria and exfoliating skin. The wife loves them. I'm slower to come around to them because I'm not as much of a sudsy lather.
A sudsy
Again,
lather guy.
I think
Sudsy lather.
Are you a sudsy lather
I'm
guy?
with the sudsy
I'm
lather.
not.
Yeah.
I don't need to know this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to make the loofah travel to places that my hands don't need to go.
Yeah. I just like to smeal mainly.
So
You would like an African net sponge. It's like a loofah, but instead of being bunched up together, it's really long.
So my wife.
When I was thinking you could use an African net sponge.
So
Good, Alex.
I've been told that a lot, actually.
So my wife, who's black, says that white people don't wash their legs, and I don't.
Yeah.
I do.
You don't wash your legs?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I don't really, unless I've been like out gardening or something, and like they're
I mean, I
like
don't like scrub them or anything,
Yeah.
but like I lather up.
I just
Top to
assume that
bottom.
all the soap's dripping down on them
That's
anyway.
like the whole Jerry
Yeah.
Seinfeld bit about
Yeah.
this. that,
You gotta
like, they just
exfoliate,
get,
Again,
though.
everything goes back
like
to
the
Seinfeld.
forearms.
Oh,
get just
those are the
like,
cleanest
they-
things
like,
on my
I mean,
body,
and
'cause
they
I always
just
hit those.
Never once
Yeah.
dirtier
Yeah.
forearms. But
Right.
That's so funny.
no.
Maybe because
And
women
the
shave their
undercarriage, I would
legs,
say.
so we do.
The
Yeah, it's more-
undercarriage,
yeah, you're more
the pits.
You're more
He's slowly-
aware of keeping things groomed down there.
Well, yeah. I mean,
It's a lot. It's a big
Yeah.
big job.
there's
Big
certain
job.
areas where you have to pay a little bit more attention to.
Right.
You gotta just keep smelling it now.
Right.
Again.
On the
MLB, man.
On the topic of run out songs, I love classic rock, but it needs to evolve from what we've always had. It was mentioned in passing, but there are several songs from Foo Fighters that will work perfectly. The Pretender comes to mind. Still Sad by Evan's take on modern music, former radio DJ here. There's a ton of great live artists, but I do agree not many have the level of popularity as AC/DC or Guns N' Roses. Okay? So you kind of agree with Evan.
Alex, you know Tate McRae's Sports Car?
It's a bad song.
It's not a great song. I agree.
I like that kind of stuff usually.
But the lead into that would be good walk-in music, but it's too short. It would have to be looped and whatnot. But it's got a kind of a interesting, like, it gets you sort of get you going.
I like
very
the
beginning.
beat. I think it's just tough to have like a young girl pop star as.
Oh, you could never
right?
do it.
It's tough.
You could never ever do that. Like
I really wanted to like that song too, because I like the. It's like a guilty pleasure of mine is like girl pop music, you know, Taylor Swift, that type of stuff. I turned
Sabrina Carpenter?
Yeah, I turned that on and I was like, oh man, like this is not what I thought it was gonna be. I was disappointed.
If Sabrina Carpenter called my son Will, I don't think we'd ever see him again.
Really?
I think he'd be so gone. Like, yep, peace out, bro.
Very
Sabrina just called. I'm out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get it.
Can't really blame the kid.
Nope.
It's valid.
I didn't say I was mad at him for it.
Who's she?
Pop singer.
Oh,
Espresso.
High heat, Fred. High heat.
High heat?
Well,
okay.
She's very small. I don't know if you say high.
She definitely
Low
likes to
heat.
tell you about it too.
Oh yeah, every song.
How small she is?
No.
Oh. I don't know.
Do you know now with espresso? You have to know espresso.
Yeah, you know.
the
it.
song.
How does it go?
I'm not good at
Say
it.
espresso.
I don't think so.
No, yeah, no.
I'm
You
not
know
doing-
it
I'm
if
not
you
doing a
heard
good
it.
job.
Isn't that sweet? I guess so.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's only. Yeah.
Maybe that's me.
I don't know.
That,
It's not
that,
on the radio play it.
I
That's
can't
that
with royalty issues.
espresso.
Huh?
Yeah.
Royalty issues.
No,
I
we
think
can't.
you can do like a little bit.
No,
of it.
no. Wait, we shouldn't.
All right.
We'll play it for you after.
All
I would
right.
drive Ferrera up a wall. if I did.
Just turn on the radio when you get your car today, and within the next 4 minutes, it will probably come on.
I
Claire,
can't believe you've never heard that song.
He has.
We
he
just
has,
said we're
he
not
has.
singing.
I might have, but I've yet to hear what it sounds like. Claire says, okay, that was it. Serious hide face moment. Do saying, I like my loofah to go where my hands don't.
It's true.
Let's see, Joe Hardo here.
Oh.
Honestly, please stop holding the door. I don't want to muster enthusiasm to thank someone for doing something that I wouldn't have cared about having to do myself. Wow. Joe just hating life.
I mean, what am I going to?
You'd rather it slam in your face?
Right, like if we're going in at the same time, like what am I supposed to do? Just
Like, why wouldn't you want to hold the door for
wait,
someone?
let it shut first, and then
No,
you
no.
do it
Like he
yourself.
just stops 5 feet from the door and waits for him.
It's a little late in the show, but I struggle with the amount of time.
Oh yeah.
When is the person too far away to stop and hold the
You know
door?
what happened to me today?
Yeah,
What's that distance?
I think it's about 10 feet.
I was walking into he's calculated it.
Yeah.
I was walking in today and someone was leaving the building and it was that uncomfortable distance and they let the door close. The guy returned to open the door for me. Ran back.
Should be a security
Shout out
issue.
to our
I'm sure they
maintenance
would have done
guy.
that for Mike and I.
Definitely not.
Mike and I.
I've had some good jokes though at that same door where someone's a little bit far away and then I'll start to hold it and they'll give me like the and then they start to speed up a little bit and then I was
Yeah.
like, it's all good. It's getting some sun, extra sun, no problem. You know, make them feel
No worries.
No worries.
Of
no
course.
worries.
My pleasure.
But don't you love when people do that little
Well,
walk?
I've said
Yes.
They do that little
I
walk.
do- I
right?
do
You
that
pick
as
up the
well.
step.
Fred's like, don't worry about it. You just-
I would say it's going to be a while. Don't worry about it.
You stop, you tie your shoe.
But you know what I'm talking about, like when you're in
Yes.
that awkward.
Yeah.
The person's right there. I know
When in
that they're
doubt, I just
walking in.
wait.
It happens a lot in
What's
this
5 more
building because
seconds?
The long
we're going
hallways
outdoors.
and the
But I can be as cranky as anyone, but I'm
that's
not
for
with
sure.
Joe. I will hold the door for somebody.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't really see what the.
Now, I don't personally.
holding
I
I
don't
want to see
care if
Joe
they-
in
yeah.
the situation, getting the door closed on him.
Well,
how
I'm just not
he reacts.
understanding
If
what
he's-
I'm supposed
Well,
to do.
you're
If he's
describing something
fine,
different, though.
then-
Is someone actually closed the door on you?
No, but like if it's a heavy door, it's gonna just like right on your arm, and then you have to catch it mid-close and push it like.
Well, that's like extreme because you're like right in back of
If
the
you're
person,
right
and then
behind
you just let
someone-
it slam
If
on
you're
you.
right behind
they don't
someone, I
hold
don't
it.
Here's
understand
what
why
I
you
don't
wouldn't hold
like.
it.
If it's the awkward time, fine, whatever.
Here's
I get
what
it.
I don't like. You're in a busy city street or something, and you're going into a store or whatever, and there's a lot of people behind you. So you hold the door open, and people behind you just start walking
yeah.
in.
Oh, yeah.
It's like no.
Hold
I'm
on,
passing
yeah.
this off to you.
Right.
I'm not
I
now
held this
holding the
for
door
you.
for everybody.
Yep.
That's like when you're driving, it's like one at a time, right?
Right.
It's not like if
Right.
I let one person go,
Right.
it's
Yeah,
just me.
it's supposed to be a
people get
zipper.
to go.
Right.
I have
Right.
a million now. So you're walking into a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And you get there and you open the door and there's another family coming right behind you. So it's only polite you hold the door.
And then they
However,
jump in line.
Yeah.
my family's going to hit the host first.
Right.
The hostess.
Right.
Good call.
Right.
Correct?
Good call.
Like it's
Yeah.
etiquette. If you let the door open for
Yep.
me, I'm going to thank you for leaving the door open
Right.
for me.
No, they were
I'm
here
gonna then
first.
get off to the side. No, you check in first.
That's right.
Well, in that case, you shouldn't do like I'm going to hold it as you walk by. I'm going to hold it for you to pass it off to you. And I think you hold the door for the women, but once there's a man coming in the next party, that's
Wow.
where it ends.
He should take it. He should take
He
it.
should take
No,
the door.
They should.
The
Yeah,
man
they
of the
should.
next family should
Yeah.
take the
But
door.
there has been like times where you open the door and you're like, oh,
No, the
yeah,
whole family.
come on,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead in. But you should let.
Yeah. Have you had that happen?
No, in general, that's the way
Oh,
it
because
goes.
I can imagine you getting into it if that happens.
Oh, I go on, with Beth, I
yeah.
go, there's another one. She just like shakes her head,
Yeah.
like rolls her eyes, and she's like, do you have to like? No, it's not a big thing. It's not a deal.
Right,
It's just
it's
like
just-
one of those little.
Right.
Don't think I didn't know.
No, I know what Paul's saying. Absolutely.
100%. It is funny
I
though,
only
these
go-
little random social interactions you have in your day that we all experience. Like that's why this topic is so funny because we all have this like awkward moments of crossing
I
people in
hate
the
it.
hall, and yet even though we all acknowledge it, when you go upstairs in 10 minutes, you're gonna have the same exact awkward.
It's gonna
like,
happen.
there's no like.
There's way too much of that around this
so
building. It's annoying.
this is kind of a guy thing. But if it's not your best friend, if it's not a good friend, and you're in public and you see somebody with their fly down, do you tell them?
No.
If I don't know the
it's creepy.
person,
That's weird.
no. If I don't know the
Why are you
person, I
looking at
would
my
never
crotch?
do
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I don't even
Like,
know
why
if
are
I
you
would say it
looking
to
down
someone
there?
I know,
Yeah.
unless it was like my family.
But your barn door's open. It's a,
So
Yeah, a
if
little
someone
barn door
told you,
action.
would you appreciate it if
Hot
they let
dog
you know?
factory.
No.
Starting a hot dog
Yeah,
factory
I
there.
guess.
So you would appreciate it if someone let you know, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I didn't know the person, I don't think I would.
How
do
would you tell them?
Barn door.
Your barn door's open.
Barn
or
door?
Starting
Yeah.
a hot dog factory.
Yeah.
No,
I don't
the
know
hot
if I
dog
would ever-
factory.
I don't think you have to go into.
No, that
It's not a joke. Like you're trying to help him out here.
barn door is the most polite way.
I should get the beans in front of the frames. I don't know if I would ever notice that. Like
Oh,
I'm
'cause
like
you're not looking down.
unlike you.
Clock and package.
Brandon Spikes. Fred.
Okay. All right.
Yours is open. Good.
Because you can't just like look down and nod, because then it's like you're a creep.
Just stop before look down. So stop before look down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
My eyes are up
I've
here.
gone into the like you head in and you go to the bathroom and you get there and it's like, oh shoot, how long has that been down?
no one's down.
Right. So I would
do you
have
go back and
appreciated.
do you go find someone and you say, hey, Paul, like how long have I been walking around with my fly down?
Right, right.
I wanted to say something, but
Since
I respect
Tuesday.
you too much.
Right.
Gotta admit, it doesn't really happen to me. I'm not gonna lie.
You've never had your fly down?
I'm not going to say never, but
like an adult.
I can never.
Oh, I
I don't
have.
recall.
Maybe you have. No one let
Really?
you know.
I can't recall.
Oh God.
I'm sure it's happened, but
Probably
I
once
can't
daily
recall.
for me.
I can probably count on one
Did you ever
hand.
get the zipper stuck though, and like you had a moment of like,
Yeah.
like it's
Now I'm in
I don't even
trouble.
want to think about
Yeah.
that.
No, go.
Not like Everybody Loves the Mary, but remember that scene?
Oh yeah,
Well,
no,
that's how
Franks above
that's how
beans.
the beans got in
It's a
front of the
great-
Franks.
it's a great-
All right. That's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. What?
You got Mike in Long Island. You can end the show with him.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Mike. You've been holding on. This
As
could
we
be the
talk
best
about
call of the
nonsense.
century, and I almost passed
I
it
was
up.
going to ask, like,
Now I
so
gotta-
what do you think of Efton Chisholm?
Right. What's up, Mike?
Yeah, what do you guys think of him?
Good.
It's been a long time, and I got to give a shout out to your new sponsor, Brunt. And I don't work for them, but I've been wearing them for like 3 years. Great boots, man. Anybody that is looking to get new ones, get them.
Excellent.
All right. Is that
We
it?
love that.
Yeah, because
Thanks, Mike.
Brunt is based right here in New England.
That's the Brent CEO.
Yeah.
I was mowing the lawn the other day, listening to the pod, and then that you guys did the advertising for it. I was like, no way, man. How
Wow.
cool is
His
that?
two worlds
That's like
collided.
hitting the
That's
cycle.
awesome.
It's like hitting the cycle.
Thanks,
to you,
thanks,
like-
Mike, for the shout out, because I forgot to do the read today.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks,
Better when
Mike.
It's organic.
But Brunt is based right here in New England. And Brunt Workwear makes work boots and apparel that are built for the job site, especially when you're mowing the lawn. Their gear is comfortable, durable, and named after the real workers in the trades that helped design it. You can even try Brunt out on the job, and if it doesn't blow you away, they let you send it back. Save $10 on your first order at bruntworkwear.com/PATS or with coupon code PATS.
Can you walk backwards in them?
I would imagine. Yeah.
It's really not all that hard.
They
Boots
should
were
name-
made for walking backwards.
They should name some boots after Mike in Long Island now.
There you go. Mike's got to be part of Brunt.
I was
Workwear.
gonna say he's like the CEO.
But that's great.
But that was better than any read.
Absolutely.
You know, that's
I'm wondering if he had an
testimonial
actual
from live
question and we
actual
let him go
people.
too early, or if it
Right.
was just for
No,
that.
he read the room and he understood the assignment.
All right.
And he's the CEO.
Get the
of Brunt.
newsletter, patriots.com/PU newsletter. Tom Brady statue unveiling August 8th before the Commanders preseason game. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Hey, this is Evan. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure to like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure to follow on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.